9th. Let's take you to one of the prestige games of the comp, Dreamtime.
Come in, come in. You desire diversion and entertainment. In the future, I see you entertaining yourself with podcasts on the ABC Listen app, going deep into conversations, delving into stories on days like these, and cackling away to Roy and HG. That is all. I don't want your money. The ABC Listen app is as free as laughter. Now go and download the ABC Listen app.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
My name is Auntie Pam Pedersen and I'm a proud Yorta elder. My father is Pastor Sir Doug Nichols. Whoever thought that a round would be named after my father? A little short Aboriginal man from Cumragunja. He was on the mission. It's amazing. The game meant a lot to Dad. He wanted to get out there and perhaps show his colour, and that our Aboriginal people, we can play football too.
I was good. I want to be good. Not that I was that good, but this is my own thing, dominating my mind that I was their equal.
Each year, we learn, not only our people, but non-Aboriginal people as well. When I'm sitting in that grandstand and I see all those people and the big cheer when they run through that banner, isn't it wonderful? It's important to me. I can talk to our boys. I say to them, you're going out there playing for community, but think who you are, and you run out there and you feel proud. They're such stars.
Rioli with some magic, the check side finish. He seizes the moment.
They're so brilliant in how they're quick thinking.
Follows up, spin move, sells the dummy, Wingard for an early goal of the year.
So fast down the ground.
Hand pass stolen by Bobby Hill. One bounce at 40, one bounce at 20, and he goes.
You're not allowed to have favourites. They're all my favourites.
McDonald's hit and Woody emerges from the pack in the right forward pocket, kicks a spectacular goal.
Grimes goes long. High altitude fly from Showbolt.
This is Dreamtime at the G.
AFL.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nichols round.
To have this round named after my father, my goodness, I mean, how wonderful is that? I welcome you to the Sir Doug Nichols round on ABC Radio.
For almost 20 years, this game has been footy's tribute to the world's longest surviving culture and the profound impact that its people have had on Australian rules football. It started as a single game just with a patch on the jumpers. From there, the artwork developed to form the Richmond and Essendon strips. Then we had Indigenous round, then we had Sir Doug Nichols round, and now we have it over a fortnight. While this game remains the centrepiece, including people that have converged on the G from Aboriginal communities right across our land. It is the 19th annual Dreamtime at the G fixture. The 17th time it's been played here, a trip to Darwin and a trip to Perth in between. And given the politics that is roiling our country at the moment and our sport, it must be said, man, it's nice to remember how good it feels to all be standing together tonight. The Dreamtime fixture between Essendon and Richmond. You can hear the Bombers theme song in the background. They're the first team out on the ground. They're predominantly in black. It is their home game this evening. We've already had a pre-match ceremony. We've got the war cries from both teams to come. Glenn James, who's the honoree for Sir Doug Nichols round this year, handed the match balls to the umpires. They have made their way out onto the ground. They're in light blue tonight. Glenn James, a former VFL umpire. He officiated the 1982 and 1984 grand finals. The Richmond banner is up. We're awaiting the arrival of the Tigers. It's a huge game in the context of the season too, where the Bombers under Brad Scott started the season hot. They've cooled off. They've lost their last 4 games. further problems on the injury front. Dylan Shiel is a late out tonight, so he's not playing. Shiel misses for the Bombers. Will Snelling takes his place in the selected team. Massimo D'Ambrosio is the sub for the Bombers. Meanwhile, for Richmond, it is Judson Clark who is going to be the sub. There is no late change. More Richmond-like, as Damien Hardwick put it in recent weeks. The Tigers have won a couple on the bounce. Can they get on a bit of a run? As Dylan Grimes leads the Tigers up the race. They're predominantly in yellow. I'll tell you more about their strip in just a moment. My name's Corbin Middlemass. It's been a huge Saturday already. Sir Doug Nicholls' round is well and truly underway. Jess Webster's calling the footy alongside me. Good evening, Jess.
G'day, Corby. This match has to be my favourite outside the grand final. It's such a wonderful celebration of our game and of the Indigenous contribution to our game as well. A wonderful pre-match entertainment that we've witnessed as well. It's such a fantastic atmosphere. I think we might nudge the record attendance for a Dreamtime game tonight, which is 85,000. There's a great crowd in already and will only continue to build. And as you said, the match itself is going to be an absolute ripper. Really looking forward to seeing who rises to the occasion tonight. Essendon, even though they're on a 4-game losing streak, have played some really quality opposition and have been competitive. So I think they'll be hungry to come out here and hopefully notch a win on the board. And Richmond, are they back? I think we'll see.
Both missing some key names tonight, there's no doubt about that. So Hopper, Gibcus, Lynch, Rioli Jr., Tarrant all out from the Richmond team. And for Essendon, no Laverty, no Parrish, no Wright. You can throw Shields' name in amongst all of that as well. Setterfield, Kelly, all out of the Bombers lineup. So there's a few missing from the cast for both teams. We're very lucky to have these two men in the experts chair tonight. First of all, dual Hawthorn premiership player Brad Saul. Hello, Saulie.
Corby, what a fantastic build-up. It's the first time I've been to this game, Dreamtime at the G. The crowd is still building, as you said in the pre-match. Sitting top tier to the Southern Stand is generally an indication that we are going to get a full house. What a fantastic build-up. Atmosphere is electric, and you're right, there are a few extra layers to this game, given the environment we currently find ourselves in. Nice to be here.
A referendum later this year, of course, the Hawthorn investigation as far as our sport is concerned, and the looming mediation, which if you go by the media reports, there could be some form of that on Tuesday. So all sorts of parties involved in that, and a huge crossroads for our sport. And in the middle of it is, of course, a celebration of the profound impact that our Aboriginal Australians have had on the sport of Australian rules football. 13% of the playing population made up by First Nations footballers, which is 4 times the broader population. It's an amazing contribution which we'll celebrate throughout the night, all those other issues notwithstanding, which we continue to work through. Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke is on double duties. The St Kilda champion. He's with us for the second time today on Grandstand AFL. Hello, Burkie.
Hello, everybody. I don't care about the game out there. I just want to be here with you guys. So
what better way to spend your entire Saturday than with Grandstand AFL?
Exactly, yes. Just a quick little trip down the highway from Ballarat, which was fun. Sally Cap, Lord Mayor, you've done a wonderful job with St Kilda Road, making the traffic really flow through there. Congratulations on that. But I popped up on my phone a little Facebook memory of 6 years ago. I was actually here, and this game was on this day 6 years ago, and I still remember it. I don't know how many countless games of football I've been to in that last 6 years, but just the atmosphere, the turning the lights out, the pre-game, everyone's phones and things like that. This is a special game on our calendar.
We've got the war cries for both teams coming up momentarily as well. We've got the 3 flags, the Australian flag alongside that of the Aboriginal flag, and the Torres Strait Islander flag, which are currently on the outer edge of the centre square, and both teams are conducting their preliminary warm-up. So we're still a few minutes away from the official presentation, as a couple of the dancers have started to make their way onto the boundary's edge. What are we going to get tonight on the football front? So, as we said, it sort of feels like the form. Both teams are dovetailing somewhat. Tigers coming good. The Bombers tailing off after what was a pretty impressive opening 5 weeks.
Yeah, you get that impression, don't you? I mean, Richmond were really strong last week against Geelong. A week prior to that, it was West Coast Eagles, so we won't take much out of that. So they clearly got themselves up for the game last week against Geelong. There's some history there between those two clubs, and tonight, obviously, is a huge match in the calendar for both of these teams. And so to what extent they can maintain that momentum from last week. And, of course, the long walk, which came into the MCG prior to prior to tonight, led by Andrew Dillon and Michael Long. I mean, that is Essendon's spiritual leader, so it means a hell of a lot to Essendon also, Berkey.
It does, and look, you've got to feel sorry for Essendon in a lot of ways. It's hard to do, I know, but you have to. You look at the last 5 games: Brisbane Lions, Port Adelaide, Geelong, Collingwood and Melbourne. They won 1 out of those. Melbourne lost the last 4, but you can excuse them for losing that, and I don't think we know their true capabilities until we see them play a team like Richmond, who, for all intents and purposes, are very similar on the ladder. I saw Richmond 3 weeks ago now play Gold Coast at Marvel, and they were terrible. And even though they had a big win against West Coast, they still didn't play good footy. They were outstanding last week, but 2 out of the 3 last games, they were very, very poor. So I give Essendon a chance today. Essendon are going to take a real big sigh of relief after coming off that five-game spell. It's going to be like, phew, that's behind us. Now let's have a crack, and away we go. And I think we'll see that tonight.
For our benefit, Berkey, I hope that last week's match for Richmond just snaps them back into form, that sort of muscle memory, if you like, whereby they remember what it's like to be playing in that groove and flipping the ball around. Martin, Dusty had a huge impact forward of the ball and hit the scoreboard. So I hope we see more of that tonight, obviously.
Essendon's jumper tonight, the theme on the jumper is around team, teammates, and the game's journey to be more inclusive of First Nations players, people and culture. Now, that's the 2023 Indigenous strip. It features Wah the Crow, which is the centrepiece of the jumper, one of the totems of the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Eastern Kulin Nation, of course, the land of which we gather here tonight. It is the protector of spirit, being Wah the Crow, which features on the jumper. The wings of the crow connect at the back to create the sash of the jumper, which represents the connection of teammates, coaches and staff. At the bottom, it features a number of people standing together arm in arm, representing how people from different backgrounds have united to make the Essendon Football Club what it is today. It was designed by 2 students from the Thornbury Primary School in Momo Wilcox and Jackie Sinclair. Meanwhile, there is a wonga on the Richmond jumper, which is predominantly yellow, so forming the sash. A wonga is a dance. It is depicted on the sash and tells the story of the elders calling out to their ancestors to protect and guide while on country. It represents looking after each other and family. It is designed by assistant coach Xavier Clark and his family. There are 42 leaves which represent each player on the list. There is also a dugong on the image outside the sash, which represents the Larrakia totem of Clark's great-grandmother, and of course the Larrakia people on the land up in Darwin, where one of these games was played a couple of years ago. It's fair to say Charlie King, for a long time, is very much the godfather of the ABC Sport department, and I'm always extremely lucky whenever I get the chance to work with him on ABC Sport, and I'm very pleased to say he's with us at the Melbourne Cricket Ground tonight for Dreamtime at the G. Charlie, it's great to have you with us. Welcome back to Melbourne.
Oh, thank you so much, Corey. Corby, it's great to be here. It's the first time I've ever been here to watch this big event. 80,000 people, I just can't believe it. It's fantastic. My heart is still beating after hearing Auntie Joy Murphy's Welcome to Country. I'm a Gurindji man, so I'm speaking on another country's land, and I just acknowledge them, and it's great to be here. And I want to welcome you and Jess. It's great to be part of the team, and Brad and Nathan. I'm looking forward to a terrific game. But that Welcome to Country, oh my goodness, that was just something fantastic. And then the ceremony after that, the performance after that, the fire, the smoke, the lights, all those are just fantastic. Lovely to be here. And just a bit like Nathan said, the game doesn't matter that much now. I want to see more of the ceremony at the start, but it's going to be a great game. Looking forward to it.
Charlie, you were at Fed Square a little earlier this evening when the long walk started. What did you see?
Yeah, they were all there. They were talking. Michael Long spoke about doing that walk again, that 650-kilometre walk from Melbourne to Canberra that he did in December 2004. He called on everyone there, and there was probably 500 or 600 people there, and he said, join me, be part of it. I'm calling you to be unified. We need to stand together. The voice is a vision. It's a vision for our people, and I want you all to be part of it. Be involved in it. Walk with me, and we'll walk to Canberra together. It was a big moment. He got a real huge round of applause, Michael Long. He's an incredible man, Corby, and I just forget how great he is until I come here and see how much he's adored and the way the people go, around themselves to get to him and be a part of having a conversation. But I think they're about to do the big war dance in a moment.
I think it's been 30 years since obviously Michael Long's Northsmith medal winning performance, and yet the love for him does not fade. In fact, it grows year after year. There's no doubt about that. We'll come back to you, Charlie, on the other side of this, as Megan Waters is our MC for the evening. Both teams are lined up opposite sides of each other on the broadcast wing.
And the Essendon and Richmond football clubs welcome you to the 2023 Dreamtime at the G. The AFL again celebrates the Toyota AFL Sir Doug Nicholls round and the contribution that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have made to our game. This year's pre-match ceremony introduces for the first time the Dreamtime dance, featuring the Richmond Football Club's Laguntus dancers and the Essendon Football Club's Koori Youth Will Shakespeare dancers. This collaboration celebrates the coming together of the players to compete in the game of Marngrook.
The 7 Indigenous players across the two teams, 5 from Richmond and 2 from Essendon, standing in front of the dancers, representing both teams. And after the war cry, both teams locking up, arm in arm, intertwined, the two teams coming together. And in front, the 7 First Nations players standing at the finish. of the cultural performance. Charlie King, that was right in front of you in the front row. What did you see?
Oh, stunning, absolutely stunning. Loved it at the end where they just linked arms together, side by side. It was just fantastic, Corby. Well done, and a big night in front of us.
Morris Rioli Jr. out there for it in his full playing strip. Unfortunately, Morris is injured and not playing tonight as he makes his way off with the rest of the dancers. It is become a great part. We saw last year where the Richmond players were sort of heavily involved in the war cry that happened before the game, and it's particularly here in the south where there were rules for a long period of time, if you go back throughout history, where the celebration or the practicing of culture was banned. And so for a long period of time, things like language and culture died out in the southern parts of the country, and that is where our game is predominantly played. And we've been able to see in the last couple of years our players be more heavily involved in that, and we see it again here before the Dreamtime special tonight back at the MCG, the 19th edition of this game between Essendon and Richmond. The crowd's certainly filling up. They're expecting well over 80,000 here tonight, with the all-time record, Jess, in spitting distance.
85,000 around there. 85,000 something.
Yep. So hopefully we can sort of touch 85,000 tonight. What a build-up with a war cry and now the exchange of gifts to take place at the coin toss, which is coming up in a few moments' time. Just repeating the team news, Dylan Shield is a late out for the Bombers, so he's not playing tonight. He was injured in the latter stages of that game against Brisbane, was touch and go all week, and unfortunately hasn't come up. So Will Snelling takes his place in the 22. Massimo D'Ambrosio is the sub to Essendon, and for Richmond, Judson Clark is the sub. The other game that's on tonight, 8 minutes into the first quarter, is the Gold Coast and Brisbane, and the Suns have the first goal there in the Q Clash, so 1-1-7 to 1 behind. The earlier games today, Fremantle, known as Walyulup, for Sir Doug Nicholls' rounds over the next 2 weeks. They defeated Geelong by 29 points, so a big win for Freo over the reigning champs. And in the afternoon time slot, Berkey down in Ballarat, of course, it was the Bulldogs by 45 over Adelaide in a game which you saw. And all sorts of drama in the waning moments of the match between Sydney and North Melbourne. North were in front with 90 seconds to go, up by 3, ball up top of the goal square. Umpire said, hang on, I'm getting something in my ear, almost like a WWF manoeuvre where the referee sort of then gets hit by the steel chair and everything sort of changes in an instance. It was an interchange infringement. They'd used too many, so you're allowed 75, they used 76. And who would have thought there's a rule that exists for that? And apparently, Berkey, that's a free kick and a 50-metre penalty. Hayden McLean bangs it through and Sydney win it in the final minute.
It just staggers me of how many things have to go wrong in order for that to actually happen. Well, there's obviously one person counting it, but there's other people counting down. There's a big sign on the bench of how many you're actually having each quarter. So
it reminds me of in basketball where you call the timeout when you haven't got any timeouts left. It feels like sort of footy's equivalent of that. The game's just about to get underway here as the Tigers and the Bombers make their way to their starting positions. Who do we like tonight, Sully? Who are you on?
I like the Tigers for their form line. Berkey?
Yeah, look, I was almost a genius this afternoon because I picked North Melbourne. Yeah. So I'm going to make up for it and go with the Bombers.
I like that. None of that Essendon slander you were speculating about earlier. Jess?
Bombers in an upset. Haven't won in 9 years.
It's always a special date on the calendar. It is Dreamtime at the G. For almost 20 years, a celebration of the longest surviving culture and its people's contribution to the great game of Australian rules. The Bombers and the Tigers. You're with Jess Webster.
Nankervis wins the first tap straight down to Bolton. He gets the clearance to Richmond inside 50. Martin almost struggles the mark. Can't complete it. Ball alive inside 50 for the Tigers. Draper wins it at ground level to Caldwell and now to Heppel. Gets boot to ball. Scrambles a kick into the centre square. Merritt is dragged off it. No free kick. They all dive on top. We've got a ball up inside the centre square.
Well, it's a noisy fast start, isn't it? It's great.
Umpires in the light blue, tossed up in the air. Draper hooks it down. Socket forward by Prestia, smothered by Redmond. Ricochets to Snelling. Free kick. Hold. Essendon play a tackle without it. It's going to come back. And Zach Merritt will get it centre half back for the Bombers. Spectacular looking jumper. The two students from the Thornbury Primary School with Wah the Crow on it, making up the red sash for Essendon, predominantly in black, as the kick goes to the back flank for Zirk Thatcher, who's got the long sleeves on. Dylan Shearer laid out for the Bombers. Just takes a moment, kicks it down the wing, turns it straight over as Ross takes an intercept mark for Richmond.
Hand passes Torioli running along the boundary line. It's a long bomb inside 50. Pickett's underneath it, knocked away from him. And McGrath happy to see it over for a throw-in 40 metres around from Richmond's goal.
You mentioned Charlie King on the boundary. You have a little bit of history, you and Charlie?
I certainly do. Charlie King gave me my first commentary gig in Darwin 13 years ago.
Like that.
So it's so great to be reunited with him again tonight. Ball flicked back into play. Draper palms it down. Durham wins it for the Bombers, gives it to Caldwell. It's a rush kick. It's gone out of bounds on the wing. The umpire says insufficient intent. Free kick to Richmond. Dan Rioli to take the footy just forward of halfway.
I think if you're tackled while you're kicking the ball, that should automatically just eradicate whether it's in or not. It's just a throw-in.
Here's Dan Rioli, one of the 6 First Nations players out there tonight. He kicks to the hot spot. Draper knocks it away for the Bombers. Oh, falls down to Mansell. He's clipped high. Redmond's got him over the shoulder and a free kick for Ryan Mansell. His first Dreamtime fixture, he's got it 40 metres out right half forward for the Tigs.
It was a tackle coming from front on. And as you know these days, it's only just a slight little arm. There's nothing untoward in it over the shoulder. And the umpire pays a free kick. You've just got to be so careful when the player's coming at you with their head down.
One of 6 Tigers in their first Dreamtime fixture. With the number 31 on his back. What a start this would be. Mansell puts it through. Richmond with the first goal. 3 minutes in. And every Tiger in the vicinity rushes to him to give him a pat on the head. Ryan Mansell kicks the first of the game. Richmond start the scoring. 1 straight 6. Essendon yet to score. Brad Saul and Nathan Burke on Grandstand AFL.
Dominant start by the Tigers. It's the very first centre bounce that came out. Almost bounced off Dusty's chest. He almost held it, and they've managed to keep the ball in their front half for the first couple of minutes here. Terrific straight kick by the young man.
Yeah, I came off a game this afternoon where the Bulldogs kicked 11-19. So it's
was it windy down there, was it?
No, it was completely still. It was chilly, but it's completely still. So lovely to see a ball go straight through the middle.
Good start to the Tigers. Dreamtime at the G. Big leap from Draper in the middle of the ground. Palms it straight down to Stringer, who was tackled immediately. Do it all again inside the centre circles. Lane Curvis in front position this time, straight down to Bolton. Second time that's happened tonight. Rushes the kick out to the wing. Bounce gets around Mansell. Short picks it up. He's brought to ground, and we've got a ball up on the wing.
On the Gold Coast, first 2 goals. Sorry, at the Gabba, first 2 goals of the game for the Gold Coast. So 2-2 to 1 behind against Brisbane. 15 minutes in there from the restart here. Taranto, high kick into the pocket. Rewalt down there with Zerk Thatcher. Neither of them lay a glove on it. And it slips out of bounds. Forward pocket for Richmond.
Well, that's 4 inside 50s to 0.
Tigers to the city end in this opening term. 80,000 plus in the house at the MCG from the boundary throw-in. Draper uses his soccer skills, just taps it away to Merritt, kicks out of the defensive 50. Vlostone got a hand on it, taps it down to Baker, hand pass to Nankervis back in the Richmond team. Gives it away to Prestia, he's tackled. Redmond's got him, and a ball up half forward for Richmond.
Draper wins the tap. Durham picks it up, gets Britt to ball, hacks it down the wing. Bolter used the body well against Phillips, takes the intercepting mark. Centre wing position, but he kicked it straight into Langford. Good enough to win it again at ground level. This time advances 10 metres and kicks it to Nankervis, who's free at half forward for the Tigers. Can look for a target at full forward. Oh, the Tigers stay down and slip through the fingertips of Heppel. It's picked up by Mansell. And that kick has dribbled across the goal face out of play. Ball in right next to the left behind post. Richmond 1 straight 6. Essendon yet to score. 6 minutes played opening term.
Essendon just need to get their hands on the ball. Bit of composure. A couple of slow possessions.
Brad Saul on grandstand AFL from the boundary throw-in. Rewalt rucking against Draper. Draper touched it first. Rewalt got it. Hand pass went backwards. Merritt sockets it out of the defensive arc and chases up his own footy. Menzies dives in there. Comes out to Snelling though. Hand pass away as a turnover. Taranto high half forward. Gives it to Vlostone. Arches the back. Kicks inside 50. Ugly kick. Skids through to Zerk Thatcher. Hand pass away to Martin for the Bombers. Nick Martin. Hands it out wide to Caldwell. He kicks down the wing. He turns it over. And again, Richmond keep it in the front half. Vlostone with the intercept mark.
Controlling play early as Vlostone squares it up to Broad inside the centre square. Every single player in the field is forward of him. He kicks laterally to Grimes. He chips it short to Vlostone, who's marked just forward of halfway.
We now have every player in one half of the ground.
Vlostone bombs it long, needs a target inside 50. Rewald is there, the fist came from Zerk Thatcher. Ball alive inside 50 is picked up from Marlon Pickett from the pocket, just misses for a minor score. 1-1-7 the Tigers. Essendon yet to score. 7 minutes played opening term.
He was suspended for this game last year, Marlon Pickett, but led the war cry and the full cultural kit, had the body paint on and everything. It was a spectacular show. We much prefer, no matter how good that was, to be in the Richmond jumper tonight and out there on the park for the Tigers. An early score as the Bombers off the back flank as Baldwin goes short to Nick Martin. Probably not the highest profile Martin on the park tonight. He pulls the trigger back inboard from McGrath. Still at halfback. Stagnant ball movement from Essendon. They go short and wide and Redmond takes the mark.
This is okay. Just need to maintain possession for a little bit now.
Against the boundary line southern side. Short kick back to McGrath. Back to Nick Martin. Still at right half back. Now the switch is on. All the way out to the left back flank. Ridley takes the mark for Essendon. Hand pass away to Zerk Thatcher. Now they're in motion. Gotta go. Draws the defender. Back to Ridley. Hurried handball to Durham. Swings it inside for Heppel and they're up over halfway. Hand pass to Snelling. Runs in front of the interchange. Kicks Essendon inside 50. Big leap stringer. No mark. Falls down to Bolter. Tackled. Lost it. Bombers win it. Hand pass away is a turnover. Richmond come up with it through Baker.
He gives it to Taranto. Kicks to the wing. Cochin underneath and Zerk Thatcher close late. Brought it to ground. Cochin picks it up. Hand passes to Ross in front of the interchange gates. Chips it to half forward. Martin presents and they're away. Hand passes to Bolton who had a fumble. Good enough to recollect. Brushes off McGrath. It's a wobbly kick off the boot inside the arc. Cochin picks it up. Hand passes to Taranto. Just got boot to ball. Picked up by Snelling. He's tackled to the ground. Ball up inside 50 for the Tigers.
Essendon got lucky there. Clever play by Ross just to hold the ball up and find the spare inside.
9 minutes in, one straight to yet to score. Richmond with the first goal. Comes up again here, forward pocket for the Tigers. Cochin through traffic, hand pass to Dusty. He gives it to Nankervis. Handball out wide to Shea Bolton against the boundary line. Kicks it to the top of the goal square. Nick Martin knocks it through for a rush behind. So Richmond 1-2. So 8 points to zip. 9 minutes in. Charlie King on the boundary. Charlie.
Yeah, Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody, just a couple of minutes into the match, has come off. He's sitting inside the bench. The rest of the interchange players standing on the line, so we'll keep a close eye on him.
Thanks, Charlie. It's from the kick in Redmond. Chip short to Caldwell. Call to play on now. Sends it out wide to Martin. It's a good mark against McIntosh. He's got it between wing and half back. Chips to Hobbs. He's got space on the wing. Hand passes to Caldwell, who's run down and dispossessed. He got the hand pass away. The umpire says play on. Short picks it up. He's tackled by Hobbs in the back. Free kick Richmond, a left half back.
Great tackle pressure by the Tigers. Defensively, they started the game really well. The slow plays allowed them to set up behind the ball.
Jaden Short, big barrel down to half forward. Pickett went early, almost took it on the way down. Becomes tackler, wraps up Heppel, ball spits out. Dusty onto it, 60 from home. Kicks inside 50. Rewald hands to it, no mark. Taranto passing through, got it to Cochin. Spin move, bouncing footy, unkind, hits the post. Gee, that would have been some sort of team goal for the Tigers. 1-3 now, Richmond. So the first 9 points of the game. Bombers yet to score, 11 minutes in.
McGrath from the kick in, chips short to Heppel. Chips it short to Redmond, who's marked at centre half back. Wants to still go down the corridor. It's a risky kick. Bolton comes in from the side, brings it to ground. Then from half forward, he kicks it long in the Martin direction. Great fist comes from Heppel. Sends it over the line for a throw-in 30 metres around from the Tigers' goal. They lead 1-3-9 to the Bombers. Yet to score 11 minutes into this first term on Grandstand AFL.
10 inside 50s to 1 in Richmond's favour. Essendon are defending pretty well, all things considered.
Brad Sewell, Nathan Burke, grandstand experts, Charlie King on the boundary, Corbin Middlemass and Jess Webster calling the footy from the boundary throw-in. Rewalt wins it down, tapped away by Bolton to the advantage of Dow. His hand pass finds Martin, grabs it but retreating. Hand pass away to Baker for Richmond, kicks out wide. Taranto just inside the boundary line, takes the mark. In front of the Essendon race, he retreats. Short kick to Ross. Oh, and then Zerk Thatcher just creeping forward. The ump gives him the benefit of the doubt. Resets the mark, and Jack Ross will have a long-range drop punt from 50 out.
I've seen some more finicky umpires pay 50 on that one, so got the benefit of the doubt.
I was a little concerned for him for a moment. Here is Jack Ross in his 50th game, arcs out to the right, kicks it on target, little short. Doesn't quite get there. McGrath races away with it for Essendon, hits up Perkins, who marks at half-back for Essendon.
Chip short to McGrath. Still at half-back, he chips it laterally. Back to Perkins. Still at half-back, Essendon. He kicks it backwards inside defensive 50 to Zerk Thatcher. Switches it over to Ridley. That's a beautiful kick to Caldwell. He's got space on the outer wing, and the Bombers have some space here. A long kick to Heppel, who's marked between wing and half-forward. Runs on the arc and kicks it long, looking for Draper. In front position, Bolter couldn't complete the mark. Keeps it alive against the boundary line. Martin eventually sees it over, and we've got a throw-in 60 around from the Bombers' goal. They trailed the Tigers by 9 points midway through this opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Hesitation there from Heppel just allowed Richmond to get back defensively. Had he rolled when he first had the chance, it would have been a lot more dangerous.
Ball back into play. Phillips palms it down. Hobbs picks it up for the Bombers, and then passes backwards to Redmond, who gives it to Heppel. Kick inside 50 to a one-on-one. Is that a free kick against Gloucester? It is. Wiedemann was caught high, and he's going to line up for the Bombers' first shot of the night. 40 out directly in front.
At least Heppel's kick made Wiedemann come forward. Then the last forward entry that they had, and it was Heppel again kicking the footy. All three Essendon tools were wanting the ball out the back, kick it over the top out the back. At least one of them has to change the look and come streaming at the player with the footy. And I think the kick made Wiedemann do that. That's why he's got a shot at goal.
Right in front, Sam Wiedemann for Essendon's first of the night. He splits the middle and the margins back to 3 points. Richmond 1-3-9 to Essendon 1 straight 6. 14 played opening term on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke and Brad Sewell, your experts.
Well on Essendon, they'd weathered the early storm. 1-3-9 from Richmond from 10 inside 50s, and well done to good reward by the Dons. It's persistence. It's slow build-up, trying to cut their way through Richmond's defence, who've been able to set up pretty quickly. But Berkey, as you said, it's much more dangerous kick when you're putting it out in front of the forwards as opposed to on their heads.
Especially Richmond, Bolter and Grimes and these blokes and Broad, they love the big high kick because they just come over and they spoil it. You're not going to mark those. So you've got to make them accountable by leading forward as much as you possibly can.
1-3 to 1 straight. 3-point lead for Richmond halfway through this opening term as Phillips wins the hit out straight down to Hobbs, and he's tackled. Dordall again in the middle of the G. Suns by 3 points. Time on opening quarter. The Q clash against Brisbane. Back here at the G. Phillips wins it down to Durham, but there's a free kick. It's going Essendon's way. Despite the fast break, they'll have to bring it all the way back. And Perkins is going to get it inside the centre circle. Arcs out to his right. Drives it straight down the middle towards Wiedemann. Grimes went early over the top. Didn't touch the footy. Free kick Wiedemann. Similar spot. Centre half forward. A little closer to goal. He'll kick from 30 out.
Contested possessions 10 to 21 in Richmond's favour. Around the ball they've been much more dominant, allowing the Tigers to play the game in their half.
I don't think Grimes can complain about that one.
2 behinds last week from his only 2 scoring shots. Sam Wiedemann kicked the goal moments ago. Essendon fans saying, do it again. He does. Bombers in front. Wiedemann with a couple to start. 16 minutes in. The Bombers by 3. First league change of the night. Essendon 2 straight 12. Richmond 1-3-9. Grandstand AFL, Nathan Burke and Brad Sewell.
How often do you see that, Sully? You dominate for parts of the game. It was 10 inside 50s to 2, and all of a sudden the other team just go bang, bang. And if you don't take your chances, you find yourself behind on the scoreboard despite dominating the ground. But again, that was a kick to Wiedemann that made him come forward, and Grimes had to come forward from behind and completely mucked up the timing of his spoil, gave away an obvious free kick. So that's 2 free kicks to Wiedemann because he's coming forward, and the Richmond defender has to try and stop him from behind.
From the restart, Richmond win the clearance through Taranto. Bouncing ball inside 50. Wonderful pick up from Pickett, who wheels around. That's a 50. There's a free kick to Essendon in and around that. And so it's holding to Redmond, and then Pickett kicked it away. So Redmond's going to be marched to about half forward or halfway. Halfway. He chips short, picks up the target in Martin. Hand passes back to Redmond, who kept running. He can approach 50, unloads with a big bomb towards goal and misses for a minor. Would have been spectacular. Margin 4 points Essendon's way. 2-1-13 to Richmond, 1-3-9, 17 and a half played.
We've seen him do that a few times already this year, Mason Redmond, with 4 goals off the back flank. Hurried kick out. Vlosten marks in the back pocket, drives it up to the wing. Essendon went it back. Snelling hand pass to Hobbs. Kick smothered. Ricochets down the wing. Dusty toe poke out in front of him. Rides a bump from Redmond. Clever tap, Nick Martin. Got it away to Hobbs. Hand pass inboard. Solzerk Thatcher under the pump. Ross wins it back for Richmond. Gives it to Preskia. He fumbles. Now Hobbs for the Dons. Hand pass out to Nick Martin. Hurried kick as he's being tackled. He puts it out to you, Charlie King. I thought you were about to leap up, Charlie, and take a big hanger.
I should have.
Weren't far away from it, just right in front of our man Charlie King in the front row. Free kick for the Tigers. Bombers lead it by 4 points after 18 minutes.
It's pretty hot out there at the moment. Good pressure by both sides.
Dusty Martin, the free kick for the Tigers, kicks backwards to Vloestone. Chips it short to Rioli. He's got a centre wing on this broadcast side. He'll kick it back to Vloestone. Patient build up from the Tigers. Vloestone, long kick to half forward. Bolton was the target, but coming across and taking the intercept mark is McGrath.
Right in front of the Richmond race at a half back. He kicks Essendon down the wing. Vloestone in the box seat. Gee, awkward landing. Looked like he hyperextended his leg on the way down, but he's okay. Straight back up, kicks inboard to the captain. And then Curvis marks. Hand pass away to Short, switches on to Grimes alongside the centre circles. They're headed out the southern side. Long kick into the forward pocket, leap it up, and Ridley takes the intercept mark for the Bombers. Back pocket, Essendon by 4 points, 19 minutes in.
Again, there was no player leading at Grimes, bursting through the middle by himself. It must be I don't know why players don't do it these days. It's got me flummoxed. Sorley? Flummoxed completely.
Ridley short to Caldwell, who kicks across the face of goal to McGrath, chip short to Hind. Still inside defensive 50, the Bombers this time. Hines kick looking for Redmond, didn't get there, but he picks it up at ground level. Hand passes to Martin, who backtracks to Ridley, and now to Redmond through Baldwin, kicks down the line and hits Menzies, just defensive side of halfway.
Bombers have 7 guys playing their first Dreamtime fixture tonight. John Menzies and Massimo D'Ambrosio, the sub, 2 of them weren't even on the list this time last year when this match was played. The start to his career he's had out of the mid-season draft. Menzies goes short to their captain. Merritt kicks to centre half forward, skids through to Perkins. Hurried handball to Tip and Woody. High up and under, whacked forward. Phillips clever, got it to Wiedemann. Hands it away to Davey. Davey hooks it through. And their rising star, Elwyn Davey Jr., across the body on the right peg, finds Essendon's 3rd major of the night. 21 minutes in, the Bombers by 10 points, 3-1 to 1-3. Their goals have come somewhat against the flow. Elwyn Davey Jr., his old man, played 5 of these games. One of the 2 First Nation stars in the Essendon team tonight.
Well done by Essendon forwards. I was about to be critical of Zach Merritt's kick going forward. Just put it at the top of the 50-metre arc, which opens up the rebound capacity for Richmond. But the Essendon forwards locked it in, kept it alive, kept knocking it forward, and Davey doesn't need much time and space, does he? Off one step, turned around, put it around his body. You shaved that little moustache off his top lip. He could pass as a 14-year-old out there. But does not look out of place at all when he's got the ball in his hand.
Ball back in the middle. Merritt has a fumble. Hobbs decides to kick it off the deck towards half forward. Langford palmed it down, or knocked it down rather. It's picked up by Rioli. Gives it to Ralph Smith. Hand passes backwards to Grimes. And now off to Clark, who flares it out wide to Nankervis. Kicks down the line, and Bolton's all alone on the wing. He can take off. He has a bounce. Kicks towards half forward. Martin collects inside 50 on the bounce. Is that a free kick for holding the ball? No. The umpire says play on, but the Bombers pounce. McGrath, long kick down the line. Draper will have to make a contest, and he does. Takes out 2 Tigers. Phillips can't wrap up Vlostone. He gets the hand pass away to Bolton. He hand passes to Graham, who can kick the Tigers inside forward 50 to a contest. Ball knocked to ground. Pickett can't collect, and Ridley does for the Bombers.
Oh, he kicks for Menzies, put too much on it. Dan Rioli looming, runs onto the footy, 45 out, kicks into the pocket. Drop mark Pickett, follows up, tackled, somehow got a hand pass back to Dan Rioli. Snaps but misses. So Essendon kicking them at one end, the Tigers missing at the other. Richmond 1-4, Essendon 3-1. That's the game so far. The Bombers by 9 points, 23 minutes in.
Bombers trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. The Tigers are looking for 3 in a row. It's Redmond from the kick-in. Sends a long ball out to the outer wing. It's coming back. Intercept mark taken by Grimes. He can chip it laterally to short inside the centre square.
2 red time goals for Brisbane, by the way, Jess. They lead by 9 points over the Suns at quarter time.
Good to hear. A short kicks to full forward. Can they find a mark? It is paid. Samson Ryan has pulled one in.
Oh, no. It bounced. The umpire was on the completely wrong side. Samson Ryan landed on his sort of left side.
And the crowd's just seeing the replay on the big screen, so the umpire has paid the mark to Samson Ryan. He can line up from point-blank range.
Haven't we got 2 of them inside 50? One on either side looking at that?
8 goals, 2 in 2023. And he sends another one through the big sticks. Richmond find their second, 2-4-16. They trail Essendon 3-1-19. 24 played opening term on Grandson AFL, Nathan Burke and Brad Sewell.
It hurts. Frustrating. Defensively, you work your butt off just to prevent there being a mark in the forward 50, any type of loose ball, and that one going against Essendon.
It's not even a half volley. That just hit the ground clean, didn't it?
It hit the ground and then bounced up a foot back into his chest.
Does he get credited with a running bounce as well?
He could very well. But, bad luck for the Bombers. But, hopefully it evens itself out during the game, and they may get an easy one at the other end at some stage.
3-1 to 2-4. It's Essendon by 3 points. Approaching time on in this opening term as Draper wins it down. Stringer had it, lost it, bobbles out to Taranto of the Tigers. Hand pass to Graham. Feints to handball, eventually gives it to Ross. He kicks to the wing to a one-on-one. Mansell wrong-footed but clever. Punches it into the path of Shea Bolton. Runs onto it. Jinking run. Kick smothered. Redmond does well. Forces it back into Essendon's hands, and Durham cleans it up. Hand pass to Nick Martin. He kicks wide for Snelling. And marks at half-back for Essendon. He'll just poke the pass to the southern boundary line for Ridley. And this last week with concussion, she kicks it along the line to Caldwell, went at it one-handed. No mark, spills through to short of the Tigers. They keep it in the front half. Hands it to Ralph Smith, kicks to centre half forward, skids through to Nick Martin. He's got it for the Bombers off the back flank.
Flares it out wide to Caldwell, who's marked between wing and half-back. Southern side of the ground. Chips it short to Ridley. He can kick it to a leading Draper at half forward. He's gotten on the end of it. Unsure where to go, so he hand passes to Ridley, who goes backwards to Merritt. A high kick towards half forward. It's punched away and falls to Bolton, who hand passes to Baker in the middle of the G. Just gets the kick away towards half forward. Zerk Thatcher in front position against Martin. Got the hand pass away to Martin. That is Nick. He had a fumble. Picked up by Ralph Smith, who kicks to Reward at half forward. Has some options inside 50. One way, then the other. Long searching kick to Ryan in the contest. Baldwin comes through with a fist. Ryan can chase after it for the Tigers. Hand passes to Cochin. Close up against the boundary line. Gives it to Graham. Short kick, just the required distance. No, it's not. To Prestia, who's called to play on. Flying shot towards Coles across the face for a minor. Essendon by 2 points. 2-5-17. Charles Essendon 3-1-19.
The Bombers not hanging around as Hine brings it in quickly to Ridley. Marks in the back pocket. Robin Montmorency, who's one of our most loyal listeners off the SMS, he says that Samson Ryan mark bounced more than John Howard's ball of the century. You remember that famous one from Afghanistan all those years ago? Short kick to Draper. He goes long down the wing. G. Wiedemann, last one standing, takes the mark, lays it off to Davies, off and running. Almost caught. Hand pass to Snelling. Handball to Perkins. Just pressured as he got the kick away. Dan Rioli grabs the loose ball. He's tackled. G had the blinkers on. Stringer came and got him. Davey under the pump. Kicks but in reverse, and it ends up in the path of Bolton, who wins it for Richmond. Kicks down the wing to Graham.
Rioli thought he had a free kick for holding the ball, but he didn't actually tackle the player. He just pushed him.
Graham, hand passes to Short, running along the southern wing. Kicks a long ball towards half forward. It's off hands. Cochin, front and centre. Kicks inside 50. Over the head of Prestia, who chucks it towards the boundary for a throw-in. 20 metres around from the Tigers' goal. They trail Essendon by 2 points. Kick the first goal of the game, the Tigers, through Mansell. Bombers with the next three, and Samson Ryan controversially kicked the last goal of the game.
Yes, SMS, by the way, 0437 774 774. We've been asking across the weekend favourite moments forged by First Nations players as the theme for the weekend for Sir Doug Nicholls round. From the boundary throw in, Martin, hand pass to Prestia, shoots it out to Mansell. He's kicked two in the opening term. And Richmond with a stoppage goal puts them back in front. 28 travelled opening quarter. The Tigers 3-5, Essendon 3-1. It's now the Tigers by 4 points on the stroke of quarter time.
Well, manufactured by the Tigers, driven front and centre by Cochin in that passage of play to get the ball forward. He's had a new lease of life, more time he's spent forward. He and Martin in particular over the last couple of weeks have looked dangerous. Great finish. Defensively, Essendon just fell asleep. It was Durham who saw the spare in front of him, just didn't push up enough.
Shea Bolton up to 10 possessions. Dusty Martin with 8. Taranto 8. Rioli 8. Vlosten 8. They're getting a lot of the football. And for the Bombers, it's Ridley down back with 11. Redmond with 9. And Merritt with 9. And Nick Martin with 9. So all their defenders getting a lot of the footy.
Back in the middle, Stringer. Hand passes to Merritt, and the Bombers win the clearance. It's a neat kick into the path of Durham, who's marked 55 from home. Stringer kept running, and he might get on the end of it, but the big fist came from Broad. Ball alive in the centre square. It's picked up by Redmond of the Bombers. Hand passes defensively to Heppel from the square. Pumps it long. Nane Curtis standing in best position. Couldn't complete the mark. Snelling on the end of it. Right foot snap is good. And Essendon are back in front. The third lead change of the night. 4-1-25 leading Richmond, 3-5-23. 30 minutes played now, opening term on Grandstand AFL.
Well, I'm just waiting for the replay here because the ball was bombed around about 20 metres out from the Bombers' goal, and Nankervis was in the best position to actually mark it. He'd lobbed himself right in that dangerous spot, but it was the Essendon player who came over and actually turned defender and punched the ball away from Nankervis. And that kept the ball alive, and a beautiful finish by Snelling. So we might be able to get a look at the replay here and see who it was. Coming over, I think it is... Menzies, yes. Just a little fella doing the job. It's what's called for at the time, and he did it well.
Half-hour mark, opening quarter, Bombers by 2. Richmond with some go forward out of the middle here. Prestia kicks it to Dusty, caught at the back. Forced to spoil, spills to Redmond of the Bombers. He just kicks out wide. For the safety of the northern boundary line, it won't go out. Kept alive by Ross. Right on halfway. Sweeps a hand pass inboard for the Tigers. To Dan Curvis. Links up with Baker. Kicks inside 50 and Draper's back. The Big Don takes the intercept mark in the back 50 for Essendon.
Late in quarter, you might find both rucks will just pop themselves deep in defence to keep the score line like it is.
Contest kick down the line. Ross is there again and he takes the intercept mark. Pumps it back inside 50 once more. Zerk Thatcher with a running start at it. Runs up, marks uncontested. That'll do us. First quarter in the books. Dreamtime at the G. Spectacular opening again with a pre-match ceremony. Both clubs involved in the war cry right before the bounce. And then when the action got underway, it was Richmond who did all the scoring early. They had the first 4 scoring shots. Couldn't make them count on the scoreboard. The Bombers then whacked through the next 3 to lead by as many as 10 points. Tigers hit the front late in the quarter. And the Bombers snatch it back. 3 lead changes in that opening term. Essendon by 2. 4-1-25 to Richmond at 3-5-23. Sam Wiedemann's got a couple. Will Snelling has one. Elwyn Davey Jr. has the other. Meanwhile, for Richmond, we got 2 for Ryan Mansell. The Palawa man, the Palawa people from Tasmania. One of the 4 First Nations players in the lineup for Richmond tonight. And Samson Ryan has their other. Meanwhile, the other game that's been played is up in Brisbane. It is the Q Clash between the 2 local Queensland teams, and early in the second quarter it's the Brisbane Lions who lead it by 9 points. So Brisbane lead there 5-2 over Gold Coast 3-5, and in the twilight it was Wolyallup, the Fremantle Football Club renamed for Sir Doug Nicholls round to the First Nations name, a 29-point win over Geelong. So big win for the Dockers against the reigning premiers in Geelong. Quarter time here, Essendon by 2. The thoughts of Brad Saul and Nathan Burke in just a moment on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and now streaming through the ABC Listen app. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
The World Test Championship final.
Cummins on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green. Coley out for 4.
The Women's Ashes.
Monty struck on the pad and Perry's appealing and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes and involves to Smith, who works it away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand Cricket.
The Ashes.
Every ball, live and commercial free this winter with ABC Sport.
This is Dreamtime at the G.
On your radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Kicks to the hot spot. Draper knocks it away for the Bombers. Ball falls down to Mansell. He's clipped high. Redmond's got him over the shoulder and a free kick for Ryan Mansell. One of 6 Tigers in their first Dreamtime fixture. With the number 31 on his back. What a start this would be. Mansell puts it through. Richmond with the first goal.
Right in front, Sam Wiedemann for Essendon's first of the night.
And Perkins is going to get it inside the centre circle. Drives it straight down the middle towards Wiedemann. Grimes went early over the top, didn't touch the footy. Free kick Wiedemann. Sam Wiedemann kicked the goal moments ago. Essendon fans saying, do it again. He does. Bombers in front. Menzies goes short to the captain. Merritt kicks the centre half forward, skips through to Perkins. Hurried handball to Tip and Woody. High up and under, whacked forward. Phillips clever, got it to Wiedemann. Hands it away to Davey. Davey hooks it through.
Short kicks to full forward. Can they find a mark? It is paid. Samson Ryan has pulled one in. 8 goals 2 in 2023, and he sends another one through the big sticks.
From the boundary throw in, Martin, hand pass to Prestia, shoots it out to Mansell. He's kicked 2 in the opening term. And Richmond with a stoppage goal puts them back in front.
Heppel from the square, pumps it long. Nane Curtis standing in best position, couldn't complete the mark. Snelling on the end of it, right foot snap is good.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Seesaw in opening term, 3 lead changes. The Bombers by just a couple of points at quarter time. Corbin Middlemash, Jess Webster, Charlie King on the boundary. Brad Saul and Nathan Burke. The SMS number 0437 774 774. The theme for Sir Doug Nicholls round is moments forged by First Nations. So we're looking for our favourite moments by First Nations footballers across the weekend on Grandstand AFL. So Both Berkey and Sully, you've got that one on notice for a little later in the night. 2-point lead, Sully, for the Bombers at quarter time.
Yeah, Tigers squandered a few opportunities, particularly early. The first 10 minutes, they locked the ball in their half. They had a number of whether they were shots on goal that went too close to the line, enabling the Essendon defenders to punch through. Inside 50s for that quarter, 11-23 in Richmond's favour. It took Essendon a little while. We could see what they were trying to do, maintain possession, chip the ball around their back half until they find that overlap going forward. What that does is that invites the pressure from Richmond. That's indicative by contested possessions, 29-40 in Richmond's favour. They were much harder around the contest, got their hands on it a hell of a lot more. Uncontested possessions, the third glaring stat off the sheet, 80 in Essendon's favour to 59. It just took Essendon a little while to get the ball going forward, but when they did get their chance, 4-1. Berkey, straight kicking is good football.
Absolutely, and you called it around about 7 or 8 minute mark, where Essendon just decided to, we were all pent up at the start, and we were going flat out, and both teams were going flat out, but Richmond do flat out better than what the Bombers do. And so they thought, let's just hang on to the ball a little bit more, hang on to the ball. And then the marks were 25-40 in favour of the Bombers. And to me, that is at quarter time, I'm saying let's keep that ratio going. Let's use our feet, take the ball slightly offline, zigzag our way down the ground, be safe with the footy. Don't give Richmond the opportunity to turn it over around the middle in the front half and go quickly back inside their forward 50. Wait until we get way over the centre line and then go quick, so that we're actually kicking the 50-50 balls deep inside our forward line rather than through the middle of the ground. So good effort by the Bombers to change the way that they're actually playing in that first 7 or 8 minutes. But at the moment, anyone's game.
It's been a brilliant start, the pre-match, obviously, which led in, and then the footies lived up to it with 3 lead changes in that opening quarter. Thoughts of Brad Sewell and Nathan Burke with you at the MCG. I'm expecting over 80,000 here tonight, and it's probably hard to imagine where you're going to find a spare 20,000 seats looking around the G at the moment. Second term underway, Bombers by 2. Draper wins the first hit out, straight down to Taranto, and he's tackled. Dordall again in the middle. The advertising replaced on the ground on the southern wing in front of the Shane Warne stand by the Go Foundation, of course the Goods O'Loughlin Foundation, supporting Aboriginal organisations throughout Sir Doug Nicholls round, with the sponsors' logos replaced on the 50s and on the wing. The Bombers working away from the centre square. It makes its way to Langford, who marks high half forward, kicks to the top of the goal square. Phillips hands to it, no mark. Falls down to McDonald. Tipperwoody has to try and wrestle it from Broad. Has his arm held in the tackle. The ump says, I'll have it. There's no prior, and a ball up 12 metres out from the Essendon goal at the city end.
Nankervis just pushes Phillips out of the way, then jams it on the boot. It's high up and under, and Langford takes the intercepting mark, but called to play on. Hand passes to Merida, chip short. That's not 15 of Caldwell. Hand passes to Davey. He's caught, just gets boot to ball. Scrambles kick into the pocket. Durham picks it up for the Bombers. He's immediately set on by a couple of Tigers, brought to ground. Ball up, 45 out from the Bombers' goal. They lead by 2 points early stages, second term.
Up it goes. Draper got rid of Nankervis, grabs it out of the ruck, runs, carries, kicks to the top of the goal square. Bolter, a little shove, and then takes the intercept mark. All legal. Goes bouncing away, 3 bounces, comes out of the defensive 50 with a handball to Baker. Shoots it out wide for Richmond to McIntosh. Short kick to Dan Rioli. He marks. A couple of years he's had after the move to the back flank. The fringe of an all-Australian blazer. You'd think the way that he's going is he runs here and then kicks down to half forward. A hand on it from Ryan. Falls through to Baldwin for the Bombers. Or hand pass a little hot for Hobbs. Richmond win it back. Prestia handball to Ryan. Kicks across the half forward line. Leaping up Perkins. No mark. Falls down to Merritt. Hand pass to Hobbs.
He hand passes to Perkins from centre half back. Flares a kick out wide to Hine. Bounces in front of him. Then hand passes to Durham. Centre wing out aside. Kicks up towards half forward. Phillips is the target. Coming from behind is Grimes. Brought it to ground. Vlostone picks it up. Hand passes to Baker from defensive 50. Kicks across the ground to McIntosh, who marks and then chips short to Ryan, who's presented on the wing broadcast side. Searching kick up to half forward. Cochin back with a flight, reels in a one-hander. Just inside the boundary, shoots the pass to Martin on the lead. Knocked away from him. Follows up at ground level. He's running backwards. He's unsure where to go. Hand passes backwards to Rioli, who chips it inboard to Baker. Long bomb to full forward. Pickett's got to take a run at this. Standing strong in front position as Mason Redmond takes the intercepting mark.
Dusty Martin sent a scare through every Richmond supporter.
Redmond to McDonald, tip Woody, punched away from him. Richmond win it back, falling to ground. There's Graham, hand pass away to Nankervis. He kicks inside 50 and Ross takes a one-hander very casually. Yeah, we pokes it further inside 50 and Taranto, unchecked, takes the mark a little closer to goal, right half forward, 35 out. We thought he pulled up with what might have been a calf or an ankle.
Calf hammy or something.
Someone just stood on the back of his shoe, so he had to try and adjust the heel of his boot. That old trick. He's okay now, Dusty. The Yukon Award is presented to the player adjudged best of field in the Dreamtime game. Dustin Martin, the only man to have won it twice. Richmond with a loud start to the second term. Through it goes. Taranto goals. And the Tigers snatch back the lead. 4 minutes into the second term. Richmond 4-5, Essendon 4-1. The seesawing start continues. Fourth lead change of the match. Brad Saul, Nathan Berg.
Well done by the Tigers. Essendon just a bit sloppy coming out of the back half. At too many occasions, the handball was a little bit behind. Kick missed the target. The ball hit the deck too often again. That just invites the pressure from Richmond. They are more experienced, they are more seasoned in these big games, and they are going to hurt you more on the turnover.
28 disposals and 12 tackles last week for Tim Taranto. He's got 9 so far tonight and a goal to his name.
Jake Stringer just the one handball. McDonald, Tipperwoody just the one handball also.
Stringers in this centre bounce opposed to Prestia. Up goes the ball. Draper palms it down. Stringer overran it. Prestia has a fumble. Caldwell palms it to Langford. A hand passes backwards to Merritt. He loops the hand pass to Redmond from centre half back. Kicks across the ground to Hine, who can run onto it and take off. He decides to chip short to Merritt, who's marked inside the centre square. Right on halfway. He can send it to half forward. He's got a spare player in Perkins. His 2 kicks from goal. He wheels around and pumps it long to a dangerous position. They all fly. Draper from the back.
No,
it's a free kick or a mark to the man in front, which is Blostone.
Draper brings that to ground. He's got Tip and Woody right there ready to pick it off.
Oh, Flostone trying to go the short way home. Straight down the pipe. Redmond hands to it. No mark. And the pressure from Nankervis. A late free kick for a push in the back. Redmond will get it. 3 milestones, by the way. Ross game 50, Shea Bolton game 100, Nick Flostone game 200. Crowded banner. As Redmond pokes his kick out wide for Hobbs. Hobbs looks deeper inside the 50. Langford takes the mark.
Doesn't Bolton feel like he's been around for longer than 100 games?
Yeah. It's not a bad set to put together, is it, for 100 games? All Australian blazer for him last year. Also has a Yukon trophy as well as the best of field in these games back in 2020 up in Darwin.
Well, he started off with 10 possessions in the first quarter, so he's going well to get a pair.
Here comes Langford. His drop punt misses near side of behind. 4-2 to 4-5. I was looking through the judges. I saw Sean Burgoyne, Will Gambula from Yulong Radio. I was wondering, is there any other radios? Sarah Black's there from AFL Media. And Charlie King is on the voting panel as well. So looking forward to hearing Charlie's votes, and we'll be able to reap him if he gets them wrong a little later on as well tonight. So looking forward to all of that. Richmond by 3.
And they work it to the wing from the kick in, but it's going to come back. Ridley takes the intercepting mark for the Bombers, squares it up to Heppel, who chips short to Hobbs, who's marked on the logo.
You can't really get them wrong, of course. It's a subjective game, isn't it?
Backpedal.
The voting.
Hobbs kicks inside forward 50, bounces in front of Tip and Woody, who hands it off to Davey, kicks to the top of the square, and Vlostone, is that going to be a mark? It is not touched over the line for a rush behind Richmond by 2, 4-5-29 to 4-3-27. 7 minutes played second term.
Vlostone brings the footy back into play, finds Jaden Short. Half back, long kick down the southern wing. Here's Baldwin. Up and takes the mark. He Had his debut round 1 last year, Kane Baldwin, as a forward. He's come back in his second life as an AFL footballer as a defender. Playing behind the footy, kicks inside the forward pocket, great kick. Hits up Wiedemann, who takes the sprawling mark. 30 metres out left half forward for the Bombers.
Oh, player led into the pocket and you put the ball out in front of him and he takes a mark on his chest. Funny that.
Well measured kick, wasn't it? Vlosten coming back, just clearing his fingertips.
Sam Wiedemann, kick 2 from right in front at the punt road end in the opening term. Let's see how he goes here from the city end. Wide out left half forward, just in from the boundary line. He's popped it across the face and then Curtis just knocks it through for a rush behind. Minor score for the Bombers. So that's Richmond, 4 goals, 5-29. Essendon moved to 4-4-28. I'm no maths major, Jess, but I make that a 1-point game at the 9-minute mark of the second term.
Broad from the kick in. Kicks short to Ross, who bombs it long to the outer wing. Ryan in front. Knocked it down. Picked up by Bolton. Hand passes to Martin, who goes back to Ryan. From the wing. Kicks up towards half forward. Rewalt in a one-on-one. Got hands to it. Couldn't complete the mark. Ridley at the fall of the ball. Hand passes to Hine, who goes backwards to Heppel. A rush kick around the corner is a turnover. And short marks. And kicks laterally to McIntosh inside the centre square. Kick up towards half forward to Ralph Smith, who presents at left half forward. And he's forced to hold it up. Now we'll wind up and kick it towards full forward. Draper's in best position and takes the intercepting mark.
Got a big mouthful from Toby Nankervis from 60 metres away.
Pass away to Hind, who goes long down the boundary line. Ralph Smith up over McTutnell, Tip and Woody takes the mark.
Had that mullet flying there. That was a lovely stylish leap.
Let's see how this kick goes. His second attempt to put it inside the forward 50 goes to Curtis again and left it short as McGrath takes the intercept mark. He won't be any happier with that. Got it away quick to Snelling. Short kick to Hobbs. Put him under the pump in the live play situation. Hand pass to Merritt. Gives it to McGrath. Long kick down the wing. There's Wiedemann again. Hands to it and he marks on halfway. Pokes the pass out wide to half forward for Menzie. Snelling running forward on the end of it. Receives a short kick right on the 50. Richmond by a point. 10 minutes played second term. Centering kicks a good one to Wiedemann, who marks once more. Right half forward, 45 out.
Presenting well. Wiedemann is getting in good areas, recognising where the space is, and if not marking the ball, at least bringing it to ground. Predictability.
It was poor defence by Richmond. They were just running back to try and clog holes, but it was Wiedemann actually give it a bit of a zigzag and presented straight at the footy again.
He's got another look at the sticks here. Sam Wiedemann, right half forward. Oh, sprays it off the side of his boot. Missing. So that's 2-2 for Sam Wiedemann so far tonight.
How's your math this time, Corby?
All even, Jess. 4-5-29 apiece. Scores level. 11 played second term.
Rioli from the kick in finds Grimes in the right back pocket. Great crowd in tonight for another Dreamtime at the G. Grimes sends it long to the outer side to a pack. Ryan brings it down to Pickett, who hand passes to Bolton. Scrubby kick forward to Rewalt, who spun in a 360, just got the kick away. Pokes it towards half forward. Pickett tries to tap it on, but it's picked off by Merritt, who gives it to McGrath. Hand passes to Heppel, left half back. Hand passes backwards to Merritt, who kicks down the line to a contest, and it's over and out for a throw-in in front of the Shane Warne stand on the outer side. Scores a level here 12 minutes into the second term on Grandstand AFL.
Brisbane by 17 over Gold Coast, so 22 gone second term. Lions led by 9 points at quarter time, up by 17 now, ticking towards the half in the Q clash. And the boundary throw-in. The big Don Draper just grabs it out of the ruck and then bangs it forward. Ralph Smith back, takes the intercept mark. Centre half back for Richmond. Scores level, 29 points apiece. Flares it to the back flank for Dan Rioli. Goes on a bit of a stroll, touches it on the ground. Isn't that a lost art in footy nowadays as he kicks down the wing? Baldwin in the box seat, spills it straight into the punt to Pickett for the Tigers. Hand pass away to Dustin Martin, kicks into the middle of the G. Tigers are on here through the centre square. Ross takes the mark, plays on, has a bounce immediately, looks inside the forward 50, Rewalt the target, hands to it. Was he dragged down? Up says no, and McGrath can just clear it out of the defensive 50 for Essendon.
Kicks it to the wing. Wiedemann comes through and taps it to Merritt, who kicks wonderfully into the centre square, and Perkins is away, has a bounce from half forward. He kicks to Stringer on the lead. Didn't quite hit the target. Stringer follows up with a hand pass. Hobbs comes through, tries to tap it to his own advantage. Grimes is also there for the Tigers and is taken over the line by Menzies. The umpire says throw it in 30 metres around from goal. Let's get downstairs to Charlie King.
Yeah, Alwyn Davey Jr. straight off the field and straight down the race. We'll keep you informed.
Thanks, Charlie.
Yeah, it looked like he hurt his arm a little bit on the spoil on the very far side of the ground.
Kick the goal in the first quarter. Scores level here, 13 gone, second term, 29 points apiece. Ryan doing the ruck work, palms it down to Ryan Mansell, kicks out of the defensive 50. A long ball, turnover, and Draper takes the intercept mark. Draper can put Essendon back inside 50. Where's Wiedemann? Kick goes in that direction. Flying Flostone falls down to Dan Rioli, shoots a hand pass out straight to Merritt. High half forward, kicks into the pocket. On Langford spills it. Could have marked against the boundary line, hands to it, didn't stick. And as a result, we got a boundary throw in. Forward pocket for the Bombers. City end of the ground, 29 points apiece, 14 gone, second term.
Merritt up to 21 disposals for the Bombers, leading disposal winner on the ground. Rioli 14 for the Tigers. Umpire spins the ball back into play. Phillips knocks it over his head. McIntosh off the ground to Broad, who gives it to Dow. Sends a long kick towards the outer side. Zerk Thatcher just gotten rid of Rewalt, who wasn't happy. He takes the mark and kicks to McGrath. Sends it inside the centre square where he finds Redmond. He chips it short to Snelling. Shoots it to Martin. Snelling kept running. He'll receive the hands from 55 out. He kicks to full forward. Stringer's there, knocked away from him. Ball alive at the top of the square. Taranto got the hand pass away, and that's a high against Langford. So free kick to the Tigers inside defensive 50.
If Stringer leads hard when that handball is given outside 50, he takes a chest mark. But again, they just want the ball long.
Grimes to the back pocket for Bolter. Short kick out of the defensive 50 to Ross. Takes the mark, goes short to Jaden Short, who takes the mark. Drop punt down the wing. Graham spills the greasy footy. Down to Ralph Smith of Richmond, so they maintain possession. Hand pass to Ross. Kicks inside 50. Pick it up to meet it. Collects on the half volley. Hand pass to Bolton. Handball away to Rewalt. Rewalt off the left peg. Kicks goal and he misses. Great transition from the Tigers. That slick high hand pass game that we've come to expect from Damien Hardwick's teams. Behind, Richmond in front by that score. 4-6 to 4-5. 15 gone, second term.
Hine from the kick in. Chip short to Baldwin. He can kick laterally to McGrath at the top of the defensive goal square. Richmond up by a point. 4 lead changes already tonight as McGrath takes a bounce and kicks short to Hobbs at half back. Sends it inboard to Martin. Kicks down the line to Phillips. Got a hand to it. Couldn't complete the mark. Broad at the back for the Tigers. Can take a run and then kick it to Rewalt. Couldn't complete the mark. McGrath to Hind. And now to Heppel for the Bombers. A wobbly kick from half forward. Straight down the throat of Rioli.
Looks in the middle of the ground to Jaden Short. Whacks it all the way out to that southern wing for Ross. He wants to move it on quickly. They got Graham on the overlap. Collects on the bounce. 60 from home. Looks inside 50. Desperate effort. Heppel. Double fister just punches it to the safety of the boundary line and a throw in forward pocket for the Tigers.
Good play the last 5 minutes. The ball's in from one end of the ground to the other. Not a lot of stoppages.
18-point lead for the Lions in the Q clash as we tick towards half-time there. Boundary throwing. Phillips palms it down for Essendon. Follows up one possession, then lost it in the tackle. Baldwin through traffic for Essendon. Handball to McGrath, loose handball to Redmond, took on the tackler, back to McGrath under pressure. Hand pass to Nick Martin, running out of the defensive 50.
Hand passes to Hind, has a bounce, still inside defensive 50. Now the exit kick down the line to Donald Tippenwoody, who's marked on the lead. He sends it inboard to Caldwell, who can take a run down the wing, then kicks in the Draper direction inside 50. Bolter in front position. Draper at the back, has a fumble. Toe pokes it to Menzie, who's in space. Hand passes back to Draper. Gets on the right, the outside of the boot is missed. And scores a level again, 4-6 apiece. 18 played second term.
Deserved more from the big man. He was fantastic there in that last passage of play. Bolter did really well defensively to bring the ball to ground, but second, third efforts, unlucky.
Bombers' last 5 scoring shots all behind as Vlostone comes wide from the kick out, missed Baker. And in the end, Durham sees it over the boundary line for Essendon, so a throw-in half forward for the Bombers.
Stringer still only had the one possession for Essendon. I know he's on the bench at the moment, but they have to get him involved in the game, get his hands in the ball at some stage.
It's been to quite a few centre bounces, but just hasn't had any influence at all.
Scores level at 30 apiece, 18 minutes in. Boundary throw-in comes down Baker's way, or hand pass to McIntosh. His handball to McDonald Tippenwoody. Tries to take on the tackler. He's caught. And Thompson Dow's going to be rewarded. Free kick for Richmond at half-back. Charlie King on the boundary.
Alan Davey back out with that right shoulder strap, so it was a shoulder issue, but he's okay.
It's good news, Charlie. Thank you. There's Dow for Richmond. Sends it long down the wing. Ridley with the fist. Sends it towards the boundary line. The umpire says throw it in.
Zach Merritt up to 21 possessions. 5 ahead of McGrath. For the Tigers, it's Rioli at 15 with Ross 13, Bolton 13.
Scores level as we tick into time on of the second term from the boundary throw in short. Hooks it around the corner. Rewalt takes a one-handed grab against Zirk Thatcher. That was brilliant. Quick to wheel around and send it towards the goal square. Heppel drops the chest mark. Ridley's there in support. Gives it to Heppel. Now to Hind from the right back pocket. Bombers can exit danger down the line to a contest. It's off hands. McIntosh can collect it half forward. Just chips a high ball to Martin, knocked away from him. Down before the ball. Hand passes to Nankervis, to Taranto, now to Rioli from centre half forward. Hand passes to Martin from 45 out. Classic Dusty Martin. Richmond find their 5th goal. They're out to a 6-point lead. 5-6-36 to Essendon. 4-6-30. 20 minutes played second term on Grandson AFL. Nathan Burke and Bradshaw.
He's one of the few, Dusty, that kicks a drop punt around his body at goal. Most other kicking for goal would, go the banana and lay it across, but Dusty, true to form, generally tries to kick that drop punt. Great finish.
It's so rare to get that much purchase on it, isn't it? Kicking across your body like that.
So powerful.
Biomechanists will tell you that he can actually use his hip as well as his leg, so you get that extra purchase by using your hip and your leg at the same time.
It's good insight. 6-point lead.
Was it
biomechanist? Okay. This is what they use at the tribunal. The boundary throwing Stringer, hand pass away to Heppel, gives it to Caldwell, kicks inside 50. Wiedemann leading out of the goal square. And it was put straight on his chest, and all Wiedemann had to do was hug it.
Oh, that was Johnny Platt and Jason Dunstall circa 1983. Bursting out of the middle. Big full forward leads out of the square and takes a chest mark. How easy is that?
You don't see that textbook too often, do you?
No.
So far in this quarter, he's missed to the left, he's missed to the right. Sam Wiedemann goes left again.
Just poked it.
4-7. The Bombers' last 6 scoring shots are all behinds. They've actually had 6 of the last 8 scores in the game. Richmond have kicked 1-1, the Bombers have kicked 0-6.
Haven't been overly tough either.
Tigers by 5 points. Wiedemann's 3rd miss of the quarter, 22 gone, second term.
Ralph Smith kicks it in long to the outer side, knocked away from Nankervis. Picked up by Stringer from 55 out. Tumbles a kick to a full forward. Menzie once, twice, yes. No call play on. Yes. We're all unsure, but Menzies has been paid the mark. Top of the square, slide angle to the right.
Yeah, the little man in powder blue was hiding in the pocket.
That's the most thing like a mark we've seen at that end of the ground all day. Certainly more than Samson Ryan's effort in the first quarter.
This needs to go through. It's reward for effort for the Bombers. They've been moving the ball well. They're really holding their own against the Tigers here and need to capitalise.
Jai Menzies to give the Bombers back the lead. Gives the Essendon fans something to cheer about in this second quarter. Breaks a run of 6 straight behinds. And they've hit the lead again, 5-7-37, leading Richmond 5-6-36. 23 minutes played second term on Grandstand AFL.
Good to see Stringer involved. He was the one who kicked that inside 50 for Essendon.
So the 1 kick, 2 handballs. McDonald, Tip and Woody, just the 1 and the 2 handballs. Nathan Broad only the 4 possessions. He's normally a bigger possession winner than that across the half-back line. Shea Bolton's only had the 3 this quarter after 10 in the first.
They've had problems in recent weeks, the Bombers, with the bear in the square, the big key forward. Hawkins kicking 8 against them here. Danaher 6 last week. Dixon with a handful of contested marks and 4 scores in their game against Port, but only Samson Ryan with 1 goal tonight, none for Rewalt thus far. As the Tigers go in reverse, and then eventually the kick comes out wide to Cochin. He takes the mark on the wing, so they get the centre break. Kicks down to high half forward. McIntosh marks. Didn't have a touch to quarter time. He's had 7 in this quarter alone. Goes along to the top of the goal square. From the back, Ridley. How they miss him when he's not there. Comes and kills that out of play. So a boundary throw in forward pocket for Richmond. Big crowd in at the G. 80,000 plus. And Dreamtime special for the 19th year running. A 1-point lead for Essendon. 24 gone second term.
All back into play. Ricochets off Samson Ryan's chest to Caldwell, who dribbles it around the corner, straight to Jack Graham, directly in front, and kicks it straight over the umpire's hat. The Tigers make them pay, and they restore their lead, 6-6-42, to the Bombers 5-7-37, 25 played second term.
Well, that's a choke from Joe Caldwell, unfortunately. He picks up the ball at the top of the goal square. He had space and time. He thought he was under the pump. Threw it on the boot. It not only made the mistake of throwing it on the boot, but the ball ended up right in the middle of the corridor to a lone Richmond player. And that is just purely the occasion. Not wanting to get caught with the footy 15 metres out from goal. Get it out any way you can. Straight to a Richmond player. So, yep, that's a good old-fashioned choke.
His previous kick before that was the one he put on the chest of Wiedemann. Very next time he touches the footy. Jeez, it's rocks and diamonds. Richmond by 5 points again. 6th lead change of the night, and we're not even at a half-time. Mancurvis back in the middle. Palms it down, and there's a pack which forms at his feet as Taranto's locked up by Stringer. It's the 1 kick for Stringer so far. Sully outlined back in the middle. Taranto hurried kick forward for Richmond. Cochin dragged off it by Heppel. The 2 former skippers. Redmond collects, goes wide, and Ben Hobbs takes the mark. New 2-year deal announced earlier this week for their first round pick, Ben Hobbs. Hand pass out wide to Perkins. Sells a little bit of candy around Dow. Kicks inside 50. Spoil comes from Bolter into the lap of Bolton. Turns out okay. Pressed here for Richmond. Sweeping hand pass to McIntosh, who's been busy in this term. Kicks down that southern wing, lands in front of Pickett. He lets it bounce, trying to control the half volley. He's hassled off it illegally, said the umpire. Free kick, Marlon Pickett, southern boundary line. On the wing, Richmond by 5.
Pickett directs the kick to half forward. It's a great one. Dow marks, unopposed, half forward. Send it into the pocket. Rewalt at the front of the pack, out the back is Samson Ryan. Hand passes it to Cochin, to Rewalt. Hand passes to Prestia, has a fumble. And Caldwell can whack it out of there through the hands of Davey, who has to turn tackler on short, brings him to ground. The umpire says, I'll have it. Ball up at half forward. And it was Baker, in fact, who was tackled to the ground.
It was a poor handball by Rewalt. Hit the shoelaces of his teammate.
5-point lead for Richmond as we tick towards half-time from the stoppage. Caldwell squeezes a kick forward, and Wiedemann presents and takes the mark. He's had 5 scores tonight, 2 goals, 3. His 2 goals coming in the opening term. His 3 behinds in his second quarter. Pokes the pass out in front of Merritt. Hand pass away to Archie Perkins, who's off and running. Kicks it deep for Waller. Tries to climb. He never got up. Gives away the free. Advantage applied, and Ralph Smith in the back pocket. Kicks out to half-back for Dustin Martin. Would have brought the house down if McDonald Tippenwoody had got upstairs and ripped that down. Dustin Martin pokes his pass down the wing, and Marlon Pickett takes the mark right on halfway for Richmond.
Loops the hand pass over the top to Bolton. Right on the stroke of half-time. A great contest. Dreamtime at the G. Richmond by 5 points at half-time. 6-6-42, leading Essendon 5-7-37. It was the Bombers by 2 points at quarter-time. Your goal kickers for Essendon, 2 to Sam Wiedemann and 1 each to Alwyn Davey, Jai Menzies and Will Snelling. And for Richmond, 2 to Ryan Mansell and singles to Dustin Martin, Tim Taranto, Samson Ryan and Jack Graham.
Half-time here at the G, Richmond by 5 over Essendon. Meanwhile, at the Gabba, it is Brisbane by 6 points over Gold Coast, so close at half-time in both the games. I'm going to get some rapid thoughts from Nathan Burke and Brad Saul. We'll elaborate more on the back end at half-time, because in 8 minutes, Michael Long is going to be singing as part of the halftime entertainment. So we'll bring you some of that, but first we've got the ABC News. So quick thoughts at halftime, Sawley and Berkey with the Tigers up by 5.
Great game, fantastic contest, Berkey. Essendon had their opportunities. Unlike in the first quarter, they didn't maximise, didn't hit the scoreboard as much as they should have. I think Corby said at one stage they had 5 consecutive points or 5 consecutive scores. 6, there you go. And so they missed opportunities, Berkey.
Yeah, best game I've seen in a month. Doesn't mean it is the best game. It's the best game I've seen in a month anyway. Both sides really having a crack. The ball zigging from one end to the other. There's not a lot of chipping around in the back line, that sort of thing. If there's space in front of a player, they're taking it and they're moving the ball forward, which is what I want to see. So it's high-octane stuff. Which team can maintain that in the second half will go a long way to winning it.
For someone that does multiple games in a weekend and now multiple games in a day, you have been very unlucky, I think, with your first 9 rounds of the season.
You've been a bad luck charm.
You got a good. I hope you've got a good one here, though.
Yeah.
So
not over yet.
6 lead changes in the first half. It's Richmond by 5 points. We'll take you through what's happening in footy on the other side of the latest from the ABC Newsroom, and you'll get to hear Michael Long sing in about 5.5 minutes. Stay with us. In the meantime, here's the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
ABC News with David Rowlands. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has landed in Japan to meet with world leaders at the G7 summit. North Asia correspondent James Oaten reports from Hiroshima.
President Volodymyr Zelensky touched down this afternoon on a French government aircraft before disembarking and being driven away. Japan's Prime Minister had invited the president to attend the G7 virtually, but it was announced yesterday that had been changed to in person. After announcing fresh sanctions against Russia, G7 leaders have issued a communique saying they'll support Ukraine for as long as it takes. The US has also confirmed it'll allow NATO allies to provide Ukraine with F-16 fighter jets. James Oaten, ABC News, Hiroshima.
New South Wales Police Commissioner Karen Webb says the next few days will be critical for a 95-year-old aged care resident who was tasered by police. 95-year-old Claire Nowland remains in a critical but stable condition at Cooma Hospital following the incident on Wednesday. She fell and hit her head after being tasered by police in the state's Snowy Mountains region. Police said she was carrying a knife while using her walking frame. Commissioner Webb says she visited the women's family at the hospital yesterday.
She remains stable at this stage, but certainly it's the next few days will be critical, and it is likely to be very difficult for the family.
A police critical incident investigation into the matter is continuing. A man remains in hospital with non-life-threatening burns as police investigate the deaths of 2 people inside a caravan that caught fire on a property on Brisbane's outskirts today. Alex Brewster has the details.
Emergency services were called to the Upper Brookfield property, finding an inferno engulfing a caravan. Inside, the bodies of a man and a woman. A man was taken to hospital with burns to his hands, neck and shoulders in a stable condition. Authorities say there might not have been a smoke alarm inside the caravan to alert the pair. It's believed the man and the woman may have been staying in the area to attend the nearby Brookfield show. Investigators say there were a number of people staying at the property who witnessed the blaze. They're now trying to piece together how this horrific blaze started and whether it was suspicious.
Indigenous advocate and AFL grade Michael Long says he'll walk from Melbourne to Canberra in the lead up to the Indigenous Voice to Parliament referendum. It's 20 years since his first long walk, and he says he's doing it this year to support a yes vote to change the Constitution to recognise First Nations peoples. Long is urging all Australians to join him on the 650-kilometre journey to federal Parliament.
I'm not as fit as I was 30 years ago. I can't put the boots back on again, but you know what? The cause is just as important, and that's why we need people to hand the baton on to and take that responsibility.
St John Ambulance has launched an immediate investigation into an incident which delayed the transfer of a critically injured patient from Meekatharra to Perth. The 22-year-old man was injured in a motorcycle crash on Thursday night. St John Ambulance says a telecommunications challenge prevented the deployment of a crew. WA police say they, along with a local mine site, assisted in the transport of the man to the Royal Flying Doctors Air Base. He remains in a critical condition in the intensive care unit at Royal Perth Hospital. Homicide Squad detectives have now interviewed 2 teenage boys as part of their investigation into a fatal stabbing at Sunshine in Melbourne's west. 16-year-old Passam Lihim died in the incident at Station Place on Thursday, and 2 other teenagers were injured. Police say an 18-year-old male from Burnside attended a police station last night and has been released pending further inquiries. It comes after a 17-year-old Caroline Springs boy was arrested yesterday. He's also been interviewed and released. Investigators are appealing for a 3rd teenage boy involved in the incident to come forward. To sport, and a controversial finish has marred Sydney's AFL victory over North Melbourne, with an interchange infringement gifting the Swans the winning goal to prevail 14-9-93 to 14-6-90. The Kangaroos were found to have used an extra interchange, allowing Sydney's Hayden McLean to kick the winning goal from directly in front with just seconds remaining. Sydney's Lance Franklin told Fox Footy they were lucky to get the victory, but the rules are the rules.
Absolutely huge in the context of the season. We needed to win that, so that was just a hard-fought win. Obviously down by that 16 what it was, and then just to keep grinding, knew things would turn, but yeah, we just had to win that.
Today's other winners were Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs. This is ABC News.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
The World Test Championship final.
Cummins on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green. Coley out for 4.
The Women's Ashes.
Monty struck on the pad and Perry's appealing and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes in and bowls to Smith, who works that away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand cricket. The Ashes.
Every ball, live and commercial free this winter with ABC Sport.
The Sir Doug Nicholls round.
McDonald tip and Woody emerges from the pack from the right forward pocket. Kicks a spectacular goal. Oh, that is sensational.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls round.
On your radio, streaming online and on the ABC Listen app.
We're at the Melbourne Cricket Ground for Dreamtime at the G. It is Richmond by 5 points over Essendon at half-time, a match with 6 lead changes. And the Archie Roach Band, including Michael Long and Kevin Sheedy, who are singing along, they're on stage right now. How good is that? Colour of Your Jumper by, of course, Archie Roach. That is the Archie Roach band, which includes Archie's son as part of that. His son Amos, also Michael Long and Kevin Sheedy, who were all part of that track. You may have been able to make out some of that. A little bit of sort of karaoke, bit of sing-along at the G.
It was great. Maybe grand final day. Give them 3-4 months to polish up a few skills and get rid of the killers. And who else have we had? Who did we have last year? What was his name?
Robbie Williams.
Yeah. Well, Michael Long, Robbie Williams.
Robbie who?
Put him in a pig suit and let him rip.
Longy had a bit more rhythm and was way more into it than Sheeds. Sheeds sort of needed to own it a little bit more. I think if you're going to do something like that, you got to completely throw yourself into it.
Give him 3-4 months practice.
Yeah. So Sheeds has never been accused of being shy ever. So I felt like maybe just didn't get into it quite as much as what Longy did. But there's their rendition of Colour of Your Jumper by, of course, Archie Roach.
It will be pretty nerve-wracking singing for the first time in front of 80,000 people, of course, maybe.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah. For everything Sheeds has done and how comfortable he is in life, that is probably one thing that will be a little bit outside of his comfort zone.
No, the word was that Nicky Winmar was going to make an appearance with Michael Long. And despite having a middle name of Elvis, I can attest that he cannot sing. So it's probably a really good thing that he didn't quite make it.
It's half time here at the MCG for the Dreamtime at the G fixture. The SMS number is 0437 774 774. Now, off the SMS, Eve in Coburg, one for you, Berkey. Is Wiedemann a better player this season or just playing in a lesser team and therefore standing out a little bit more?
No, I don't think that lesser team has got anything to do with it. I think he's lacking support down there. You bring Peter Wright back into that team, who's going to automatically attract attention from some defenders, and I think he's going to be actually better than what he is now. So sometimes the better forwards and the better team you have around you, the more you actually stand out.
Peter Wright is listed as 4 to 6 weeks away, but all the talk out of Essendon is he will be back much sooner than that. They think he's ahead of schedule in the way that he's recovering from that shoulder surgery, and he could be back sort of within weeks rather than, as in 1 or 2 weeks rather than multiple.
Well, automatically Noah Bolter goes to him, and Dylan Grimes keeps an eye on him, and that just gives Wiedemann that extra space. So I'd expect him to actually be better with a better lot of players around him.
Off the SMS, M in Melbourne says, "Hi team, don't have a timeline as a family. We always enjoyed watching Leon Davis. Of course, Neon Leon. Eddie Betts as well. His goals were magic. We were asking earlier about moments forged by First Nations players. It is the theme for Sir Doug Nicholls' round this year, or rounds, obviously, over the next 2 weeks. Did give one to both you, Sawley and Berkey, as to sort of favourite moments from First Nations players, and you both would have played with a number of decorated stars, I'm sure. Any that stand out, Sawley?
I'm thinking of... Was Cyril kick goal of the year against Essendon, half-forward flank, a 1-2 with Chance Bateman, bit of a spin, blind turn, and then slotted it?
At Docklands? Yep.
Yeah.
Sold a little bit of candy on the way through, and...
Yep.
That was pretty special, wasn't it?
That moment comes to mind.
Well, obviously, I played with the great Nicky Winmar, and Nicky, for me, broke the stereotype a little bit of the Indigenous player, because previous to him, the Cracker brothers, is that mercurial forward who could zigzag in and around, and that's probably what they were known for. For all of Nicky's magnificent skills, his ability to run down and tackle somebody from behind, and when he wrapped his arms around you, he didn't let go. So I think he changed the stereotype from just that mercurial, talented player to he's a hard and tough. He can tackle and he can win his own footy as well as the next player. So when I sort of envision Nicky in my mind, I see him out at Waverley starting from 10 metres behind somebody and just mowing them down from behind and just nailing that tackle.
Yep, that's what an amazing player he was, and obviously the role that he's played in footy since he finished. You got one for us, Jess?
So many. Probably, obviously, a Brisbane supporter, Ash McGrath, Miracle on Grass.
Oh, yes.
It was always a favourite memory up at the Garra. I used to love watching Darryl White as a youngster. And then even Jarrod Brennan, when he burst onto the scene as well. His debut against Collingwood, and then he also kicked a bag of 7 one game as well. So he was always one of my favourites.
When you said Darryl White, I thought of Brennan too, the way they used to both carry the ball almost like a basketball, sort of upside down in the huge mitts that both guys had, and the ability just to be able to run and carry with the footy is just amazing.
Sorry, I have to add one more in. Chris Johnson. He used to take great hangers. So there's so many.
we got to have Jono as part of that, and we're lucky enough to work with him for a number of years as the Richmond Football Club start to make their way back out onto the ground, and the Bombers will be with them momentarily as well. 6 lead changes in the first half here. Keep them coming off the SMS 0437 774 774 is the SMS number. The day in footy so far. So first of all, Sydney and North Melbourne. So Sydney getting home by 3 points in this game after a late interchange infringement. It wasn't somebody running on the ground when they weren't meant to, or too many players on the field or anything like that. This was, you have 75 interchanges that you're allowed to use. Remember, we introduced that rule once upon a time. It felt like no one ever went close to going over. In the last minute of the game, with the match on the line, North Melbourne sent a 76th rotation out onto the ground. They made 2 changes at once. They were already up to 74 rotations. And so what that means, which I don't think most of us were aware of until today, the next stoppage in play, the umpire gets a notification in his ear. They're all mic'd up. Says it's a free kick. The next neutral ball situation to the team that didn't have the infringement, and the 50-metre penalty.
That's a big thing because, one, 50-metre penalty, and the other one is a neutral ball. The ball might travel from one end of the ground to the other before you get a neutral ball situation. So you get the bonus of that as well.
What happens if you never cough up possession and the game runs out?
Good point.
So then, does it just never invoke? I've found it an interesting interpretation. But Sydney win by 3 points because Hayden McLean got the ball, went back, banged it through. There was 30 seconds left in the game, and North Melbourne lost like that. So a 3-point win for Sydney over North Melbourne in Brett Ratton's first game in charge as the caretaker coach.
It might have made the Crows a little bit gun-shy because they only had 42 out of their allowed 75 rotations today.
Injuries or anything?
They had one player went off early, Mitch Hinge, with a concussion, but no other injuries.
That's
just
low, isn't it?
42.
It's almost unheard of in this day and age.
Bulldogs by 45 points over Adelaide. Meanwhile, the twilight fixture was Walyalup, which is the Fremantle sort of First Nations name, so beating Geelong by 29 points. So the reigning premiers go down in back-to-back weeks after it looked like they were on a real tear. They're obviously missing a few at the moment. A 29-point win for Freo. And in the Q-Clash, it is early in the third quarter there, a 12-point lead for the Brisbane Lions over the Gold Coast Suns. Charlie King is with us on the boundary. I don't know if Charlie's got us at the moment. Might just check in with him in just a moment, but just repeating, North Melbourne exceeding the rotation limit, so as a result, a couple of point win in the end for the Sydney Swans, kicking a goal late in the piece. The Bombers and the Tigers both just breaking up from their respective huddles. The second half upon us here at the G. We're yet to see either Medi-sub used, so Massimo D'Ambrosio and Judson Clark, the 2 subs. Charlie King's on the boundary for us. Charlie, what have you made of the first half so far?
Yeah, pretty good. Some good players out there, I can tell you that. But just really, I'm waiting for Dusty Martin to explode. He showed just little glimpses of it in those first 2 quarters. So watch out for him in this second half. But it's been a pretty interesting game. And just for the music at half-time, yeah, Kevin Sheedy probably should look for something else to do. But, yeah, he got it. He was brave, as Jess said, to sing in front of 80,000.
Sully, who needs to make more adjustments, do you think, early in this second half after what we saw in that first half of footy?
It's been a bit of a seesawing affair. Sides just need to make the most of their opportunities in front of goal, and I think the side's most efficient is going to be the victor. 12
scoring shots each, 6 lead changes. As we start the third term, it's Richmond by 5 points in Dreamtime at the G. You're with Jess Webster.
Immediately we're going to get a recalled bounce as Draper wanted to run away with it, but it's going to be recalled.
Liam Baker just the 8 possessions. Dion Prestia just the 6. Jake Stringer just the 3. All those 3. Big lift in the second half.
Essendon by 2 at quarter time. Richmond by 5 at the half. From the ball up, Taranto extracts it for the Tigers, sends it towards half forward. Bounces in front of Zerk Thatcher for the Bombers. Hand passes to Ridley from right half back. Can go for a run, then send it long down the line. Stringer will float from the side. It's through his hands. And there for the Tigers is Baker, who gives it to Taranto, and he's immediately brought to ground, wrapped up in a tackle, and we've got a ball up on the wing outer side.
I thought, here we go, Jakey, big mark, get yourself into the game, but completely fluffed it and almost didn't get his hands to it.
Just the 3 disposals, no marks of Jake Stringer tonight.
The Tigers by 5. Draper wins the hit out down to Taranto. He just sockers it down the wing. Ridley had it, lost it in the tackle. Pack forms on the logo. Southern wing, and we'll have a ball up. Nick off the SMS. Liam Jarrah soaring over big packs, flying like an eagle. Nomination for some of the great moments forged by First Nation stars from the restart on the wing. Merritt floats a high kick forward for Essendon. Flostone ends up with it, tackled by Langford. Got a kick away under pressure to short. Chips it away to Shea Bolton. Just hangs it out for the hand pass to Jaden Shorter. Goes flying by the 1-2 with Dusty Martin. Short gives it back to him. Now Dusty at high half forward. Looks inside the attacking arc. His kick, not a good one. And Durham takes the intercept. Centre half back for Essendon. Tigers by 5 points. Early doors, third term.
Durham kicks it laterally, still inside defensive 50. Ridley takes the mark. He goes back to Zerk Thatcher at the top of the defensive goal square. And he comes out to the broadcast side. Finds Baldwin, still inside defensive 50, the Bombers. Trail Richmond by 5, early stages, third term. Baldwin short to Martin, that is just 15. He's got it 5 metres in from the boundary at left half back. Kicks down the line, and Durham is all alone on the wing. He's got Heppel short, goes to him now. He's marked in front of the interchange gates. Patient build up here from Essendon.
So Heppel, short kick to Caldwell. 2.5 minutes into this third term, right in front of the interchange gates. 80,000 plus in at the G. As Caldwell looks inside a crowded forward 50. Phillips went early, spills through to Grimes. Tried to get a kick away. Vlostone got rid of Stringer, wins the footy, bangs it up to the wing. Essendon well set, and Baldwin takes the intercept mark. Hand pass away to McGrath. With the number 1 on his back, he kicks it to full forward. Big pack forms, 5 or 6 go up, spills down to Stringer. Hand pass out to Langford. Sweeping hand pass forward pocket. Menzie trying to snap back over his shoulder. Oh, Menzie just clips the post. Gee, it would have been a hell of a kick. Off balance as he's been tackled by Dan Rioli. Couldn't quite thread it from the forward pocket. Behind. Charlie King on the boundary.
Yeah, Archie Perkins just has his left calf strapped. He may have a corky in there.
Thanks, Charlie. As Richmond from the kick in, work it to the wing. Ross dispossessed, and he's coughed it up. Nick Martin from left half forward for the Bombers. Kicks inside the arc. Draper almost knocked away from Nankervis. Picked up by Baker of the Tigers. Has some space inside defensive 50. Kicks to the outer side. Mansell is marked at left half back. Mansell chips short to Prestia. It's skewed off the side of the boot. Just pitched inside the field of play, so it's going to be a throw-in. The umpire gives the benefit of the doubt in terms of insufficient intent. Throw-in on the wing outer side.
Prestia's having one of those games. You've only had 2 kicks, 4 handballs the first half. You get free, you're all by yourself, and then your teammate kicks it out of bounds.
Australian Football Hall of Famer Nathan Burke alongside 2-time premiership player Brad Sewell from the boundary throw-in. Comes through to Hobbs. High kick to half forward for the Bombers. Punched away. Short had it. Took on the tackle and lost it. Holding the ball. Free kick Langford. Right on the 50-metre arc for Essendon. Tigers by 4. 4 minutes into the third, and Langford's walking all the way back. He thinks he's got the trip in him.
What about you, Corby? Has he got it?
Well, Pretelidio has a theory. It is longer kicking to the punt road end than it is to the city end somehow. He believes that the kicks usually fall short at this end. And he just decides to lay it up to the top of the goal square. Nankervis whacks it back 30 metres in the other direction. Shea Bolton, hand pass to McIntosh. McDonald tipping Woody came and got him. Ball spits out. Oh, Langford took too long. He too was mowed down. Chased down tackles everywhere. And Ryan Mansell wins it back for Richmond at centre half back.
He's just going for a stroll. Langford inside 50. Thought I'll get an extra 5-10 metres and have a shot.
Poor awareness, isn't it?
Yeah. Both of you have played a lot of footy here. Do you support that theory? That it feels like 150 is longer, not so much longer than the other, but balls carry further at the city end than the other end?
Oh, I've never heard that thing before. Did have a teammate, Gordon Fode, said the 50-metre line is longer at Subiaco.
Tigers work it to half forward through the hands of Ryan, inside forward 50. Graham picks it up, tries to fend off Heppel, does so successfully. Hand passes to Martin in a phone box. Hand passes to Baker from close up against the boundary line. Centering kick through a couple of sets of hands. Taranto picks it up to Bolton, who has a fumble. He tries to fend off, gets boot to ball to Ryan at the top of the square, not 15, has to throw it on the boot. Straight up and down the mine shaft. And it's eventually rushed through for a minor score. And the Bombers lead is back out to 5, 6-7, 43 to Essendon, 5-8, 38.
Oh, Redmond brings it in a hurry. A 1-on-1 to Caldwell. He's good enough to win it as Mansell falls over and Caldwell hits up McDonald. Tippenwoody, who marks on the wing. Looks into the middle of the ground for Hobbs. Takes the mark. Big Polly Farmer sweeping hand pass back to Caldwell. Tucked the footy in and ran straight up Vlostone. Caught, ball comes out. Says play on. Vlostone now tackled by Caldwell. But a ball up between wing and half forward for Essendon.
I've noticed with Hobbs, he gets a lot of the footy and he's doing well, but he never looks forward. Every single time he gets it, he looks sideways or backwards. If he had to turn, look forwards, then that ball's inside 50.
Richmond by 5. Taranto stripped to the footy. Play on is the call. Picked up by Martin of the Bombers. Hand passes backwards to Redmond. Kicks across the centre circles. It'll bounce in front of Hind. He has time to gather. From the wing, broadcast side, he chips it towards half forward. Not a great kick. Durham brought to ground, picked up by McGrath. He gives it to Stringer. It's an ugly ball. Dribbles inside forward 50, past Menzies. And the Tigers have the numbers inside defensive 50. It's picked up by Grimes, who's kicked it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to the Bombers at left half forward. He's going to claim it, I think, Nick Hind.
Both sides succumbing to the pressure at the moment.
It's not clean.
No.
There's not much one touch, one grab. Lots of fumbling.
Hind runs on the arc, sends it to the top of the square. Nankervis, couple of bites at it, reels in the mark. No, play on is the call.
Nope.
No, it is.
Very late call. Nankervis paid the juggled mark. It's already happened. 17-point lead for Brisbane over the Suns. 10 minutes into the third. Nankervis long to half back, and Marlon Pickett so good on the air takes a juggled mark of his own. Back flank, kicks to Dan Rioli, marks in front of the Essendon interchange. 5-point game here, Richmond lead it. It's 5 points at half time. It is again here, 8 minutes into the third. Short kick to Taranto.
Phillips for the Bombers might have to sign the score sheet at the end of this game because he has no kicks, no marks, no handballs. He's got to prove that he's out there.
Taranto short to Vlostone.
That's what I had to do when he used to play basketball.
Vlostone kicks into the forward 50 and Phillips takes the intercept mark right on cue. I think he heard you, Berkey. He said, here I am. And he's got a start as he kicks it out of the defensive arc for Essendon.
Looking for Wiedemann in the pack, knocked away from him. Picked up by Merritt, who snaps it down the line. Tippenwoody has a couple to beat, is shoved off it by Grimes, picked up by Baker, gets boot to ball in front of the interchange. Gates down the line, Hind nudged out of it. Bolton keeps it alive against the boundary line, hasn't bounced. Hand passes over the top, put his teammate under pressure, and Ross, who was pushed over the boundary line, throw in 50 metres around from the Tigers' goal. They lead Essendon by 5 points, 10 minutes into the third.
Why is it that the sloppier the game gets, players try to invent something to do more with it? Rather than going back and becoming, let's get a bit sloppy, let's keep it simple, they try and change the way the game's been played by being tricky.
Goal for Brisbane. They lead the Suns by 23 midway through the third. Boundary throw in. Richmond by 5 here. Caldwell picks it up clean. Hand pass to Redmond. Short kick to Davey Jr. in the defensive half. He runs and carries. Chips it to centre half forward. Langford up strong. Takes the mark, centre half forward for the Bombers, kicks it straight into Baker on the mark. Ball ricochets back to Langford. Hand pass away to Caldwell. Hurried handball inside 50. Baker had it, met by Caldwell. Ball comes out. Dan Rioli releases it to Taranto, to Prestia. Back to Taranto by hand. Just kicks into space in the front half. Thompson Dow out in a little bit of space himself. Runs onto it, jams it on the boot. The triplet goalward, it's offline. It's a behind. Richmond by 1 goal neat. 6-8 to 5-8. 10 minutes gone, third term.
Terrific pressure by Hind there. Covered a lot of ground to get that pressure. And then finally to get the body as the ball was getting kicked.
Hind from the kick in finds Snelling, who chips it out wide to Durham, is marked at left half back. It's Davey presenting down the line. Chip short in his direction. Great kick. Davey short to Perkins, marked on the broadcast wing. Centering kick to Redmond inside the centre squares. Hand pass releases Merritt from centre half forward. Kicks in the lane for direction. He's got separation out the back and takes the mark at the top of the square. Great transition from the Bombers. Langford can potentially draw scores level.
Merritt's 27th disposal for the night. And when you give him that type of time and space going forward, his lethal left leg will do some damage.
16 goals this season for Kyle Langford, playing up forward for the Bombers, and he adds another. Scores a level again at the G. 6-8, 44 apiece, 12 minutes played, third term on Grandson AFL. Brad Sewell and Nathan Burke, your experts.
Well, as a coach, you often draw up how you want to move the ball from one end of the ground to the other, and you put in some training drills that reinforce that, and that was a Bomber training drill. They got the ball deep in their defence. They brought the ball wide till they got to the wing, looked inside into the centre of the ground, got someone streaming past for a handball to an open forward line, out the back, kick and simple goal. So it was a training drill exercise. That was the neatest piece of play we've seen this whole half so far, probably for the whole game really, and it was a great sign for the Bombers, but very, very poor defence from the Tigers.
We've only had one Dreamtime game decided by under a goal. That was back in 2006. And only two single-figure results. It's been goal for goal throughout. Scores level again here. A match with 7 lead changes. Back in the middle of the ground. Hobbs for Essendon. Gets the centre break. Hand pass out wide to Durham. Links up with Stringer. Runs and carries. He kicks inside the forward arc. Miscued kick. And McIntosh takes the intercept mark for Richmond. Immediately moves it out to half-back for Bolter, who's off and running between wing and half-back. He kicks down the wing, and Zerk Thatcher in the long sleeves takes the intercept mark for Essendon. They keep it up front for the Bombers. Short kick to Caldwell, who marks on the southern wing.
Kicks laterally to Ridley, is marked on the edge of the centre square, and just backwards to McGrath, who can continue the switch to Heppel, who's marked on the back point of the square. Long kick to half forward. Hind has to go back with the flight. Couldn't complete the mark. Ross is there for the Tigers, who wins the one-on-one. Hand passes to Graham. Hand passes inboard to Bolton. Now he gives it to Taranto. Sweeping hand pass back to Ross from the wing. Hand passes forward to Graham. They move it again by hand to Baker from half forward. Pumps it long to full forward. Rewald is there. Zerk Thatcher with the fist. Ridley brought to ground by Rewald at the top of the square. McGrath has turned it over to Pickett. Hand passes to Bolton in the square. He bangs it through. Oh, costly error in defence from Essendon has gifted Richmond a goal and gifted them back the lead. 7-8-50 to Essendon, 6-8-44. 14 minutes played, third term on Grandson AFL.
Well, you caught it. It was just a mistake from Andy McGrath. The Essendon Bombers did really, really well to bring the ball to the ground. They got numbers back in defence, and it was just a panic handball from McGrath. There was no need for it, and went straight to the Richmond player, who then fired off to Bolton alone in the goal square. But they've worked really, really hard to get stay in this game, the Bombers. They just can't give away cheap, easy ones like that.
Charlie King on the boundary.
Yeah, just a weather report, a little bit of rain starting to fall.
I thought there was only going to be rain after 10 o'clock. I did ask them, Charlie, to just hold it off.
I thought the same thing, Colby. I was looking at the weather app going, hopefully to hold out.
6-point lead for Richmond on the back of that Bolton goal. Back in the middle, Taranto. Quick centre break for the Tigers. Kicks to Rewald, competes, no mark. Spills to Dusty, too strong, shakes the tackle. Hand pass to his teammate, who's tackled straight away, Mansell. A couple of first quarter goals for Ryan Mansell. Palawa man, one of 6 First Nations players out there tonight. From the ball up, Phillips gets 2 goes at the hit out. Whacks it away, but straight to Shea Bolton. Half forward for the Tigers. Shares it to Mansell. Hand pass to Graham. Gets back on his right peg. Trying to straighten up. Broken up by Snelling. Ball spits out to Jaden Short. Richmond still with it, but retreating. Hand pass to the wing. Graham can't control it. Tip and Woody got it out for Essendon to Wiedemann. Hand pass to Menzies. Goes back by hand to Heppel.
He chips it inboard. It's a good kick to Durham. He's got McGrath alone, or Caldwell rather, inside the centre square. Takes the mark, hand passes to McDonald, Tipper-Whitty, releases Perkins from 50 out, goes for home, it's across the face, and Langford drops the mark on the goal line. It's through for a minor. And the margin is 5 points. Richmond 7-8-50, Essendon 6-9-45. 16 played third term on Grandstand AFL.
This is an almost night for both sides. They're almost doing... finishing these plays well. Almost.
Richmond work it up to the wing quickly. Baldwin had it. Hand pass and turnover. Mansell got a handball away to Cochin. He kicks Richmond down to half forward. Punched away by McGrath. Down to Zerk Thatcher. Zerk Thatcher off the back flank. Hand pass away to Hind. He kicks down the wing and Durham marks. It's a good point, Sully. It's sort of, you feel as if you're a supporter of one of these two teams, you're either right on cue. As Hind just turns it over straight to McIntosh. Marks in the middle of the ground. You don't know whether you're frustrated you're not in front or more, or lucky you're not further behind. It's in that kind of night. McIntosh short to Jaden. He kicks it deep inside the forward 50. Socket off the deck. Taranto, he's offline. Misses. Out to the right and behind. Back to a 6-point lead for Richmond. 7-9 to 6-9. They've got 17 minutes travelled in this third quarter. Tigers by a goal.
Even then, that ball was bouncing up nicely around about knee height. He should have just bent over, picked it up and ran into an open goal.
McGrath from the kick in, kicks to the southern side. Baldwin reels in the mark at half back. Chips it inboard to Hind. He chips it to Martin. From defensive 50, Nick Martin. It's across the face of goal to Ridley. He's got some space. He chips it to Zerk Thatcher, who's marked at left half back from one side of the ground to the other. Richmond by 6.
70 to 108, the marks in favour of the Bombers.
Zerk Thatcher winds up and kicks it long down the line. And standing strong is Bolter in the contest and takes the mark for Richmond.
Noah Bolter, his fourth Dreamtime fixture, looks for Rewall. Up on the shoulders of Zerk Thatcher and rips it down. A superb one-on-one mark. Shoots a hand pass to Dusty. Sweeping handball into the pocket for Mansell. Hind's got him tackled out of play. Umpire says spin it in. And Nick Hind puts his hands on his head. He was looking for a free kick. It's not forthcoming. Jack Rewalt with a nice little solo highlight. Boundary throw in forward pocket for the Tigers. Richmond by a goal.
Goal apiece in this third term. Richmond by 5 at half-time. Ball back into play. Phillips in front position. Palms it down. Bolton slips the tackle. Hand passes to Taranto. Wants to get on the right boot. It's smothered. McGrath tackled by Bolton. And we've got a stoppage. 40 out from Richmond's goal. Looking for 3 in a row, Richmond. After a stretch of 5 losses in a row. At the start of the season, it's from the stoppage. Martin gets boot to ball. It ricochets to Bolton, who dribbles it along the ground for an incredible goal. Oh, he is a superstar. Shea Bolton has 2 in his 100th milestone game. And add that one to the highlight reel. Richmond out to a game-high 12-point lead, 8-9-57 in the Bombers, 6-9-45. 20 played third term on Grandstand AFL. Brad Sewell and Nathan Burke, your experts.
I was thinking off a previous passage, both sides are just missing some class, missing some polish, missing some finishing right on cue. Shea Bolton, one of the few players out there that has the ability to consistently play at the level. But they're few and far between out there at the moment, and it's going to be efforts like that that will be the difference in the outcome of tonight's game.
He's a star, isn't he? Shea Bolton.
Second, third effort stayed in the contest. A couple of tackles. Kept tracking the ball. He just doesn't need much time and space in the forward 50, and he'll hurt.
It's like shelling peas for him from the right forward pocket, just able to bend it through. Back in the middle, Draper whacks it forward for Essendon. Langford keeps it heading that way. On to Snelling, 60 from home, pokes a pass inside 50, and the sprawling mark taken by Archie Perkins, diving out to his left. Reels it in for Essendon, 45 out.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether he's got the distance here, Corby. He's had a couple of times now he's ran to 50 and had big long shots and struggled to make that distance. So we'll see whether Delidio's theory is correct.
By the way, the reaction of you and Sawley was the same one that Mark Murphy had, who was sitting next to him at the time, which was, I'm not so sure there's a longer end. He darts out to the right here, Archie Perkins trying to whack it all the way home. Hasn't quite got the trip. Draper trying to keep it alive, taps it down, and in the end it's poked through by Nankervis for a behind, so he rushes it through. On the goal line, Richmond by 11 points, 21 played third term. Charlie King on the boundary.
Yeah, the subs happened. Judson Clark, the sub, is on, and Thompson Bowers off.
Thanks, Charlie, as Dan Rioli from the kick-in runs to the pocket, then kicks long to the wing, off hands. Scrapping for it is Zerk Thatcher. It squirts out the back to McGrath, who picks it up for the Bombers. Gives it to Snelling, and now to Merritt. Sweeping hand pass defensively to Heppel at left half back. Then he kicks it to the wing. Perkins with the fly. Couldn't complete the mark. It spills to Bolton. In a 1-2 with Taranto. Bolton spears a kick inside 50. Bounces at the feet of Ryan. He gives it to Cochin, who hand passes a turnover. Merritt chips it short to Hobbs. He's marked at left half back.
Had 5 picks Essendon in the last 3 years inside the top 13 in the draft, and Ben Hobbs is one of those. Barely had them on the park though, their top end talent. Haven't seen Cox or Zach Reid all year. Goes back here to Nick Martin, back to Zerk Thatcher, back to Baldwin. Now 30 metres out from the defensive goal line, he goes wide to Hind. The other two names, Elijah Sardis, who we haven't seen, and Archie Perkins, who's played all year. Hind finds Heppel, and Heppel kicks down the wing to McDonald, Tip and Woody. They love this guy. There's no doubt about that. A big cheer every time he touches the ball. Out of retirement, missed all of last year. In his 7th Dreamtime clash, he kicks it back inboard looking for Nick Martin, becomes tackler on Shea Bolton. Ball spits out. In the end, Snelling hands it back out to Martin. Hand pass to Hobbs. Gives it off to Redmond. Kicks to centre half forward. Langford backing back. Knocked away by Ross for the Tigers. Short picks it up on the back flank. Hand pass to Ross. Sweeping handball out to Cochin on the wing.
He loops the hand pass over the top to Ralph Smith, who gives it to Grimes. Hooks the kick around the corner. Heppel came from the side to force a contest. Spills to Merritt, who gives it to McGrath. He's stripped to the footy. Merritt bashes it forward, only as far as Grimes for the Tigers, who hooks the kick around the corner. Redmond drops the mark. Snelling taps it on to McGrath, who hand passes it backwards to Redmond, and now back to McGrath. Chips it short to Zerk Thatcher, who's marked inside defensive 50. He chips it to Langford at half-back.
Richmond by 11. As Jess said, game-high lead was 12 after kicking back-to-back goals, both through Shea Bolton earlier in the quarter. 24 gone third term. All of a sudden, next goal feels really big in this game as Langford kicks down the wing over the outstretched fingertips of Wiedemann. Falls down to Bolter for the Tigers. Hand pass to Ralph Smith. Handball away to Grimes in close quarters on the wing. Got it to Ross. Took on the tackle of Hobbs. Hand pass to Ralph Smith. Snelling's got him and a ball up on the wing. Approaching three-quarter time in the Q clash. Brisbane by 12 points over the Suns. It's Richmond by 11 points here. 24 gone. Third term at the MCG.
Draper and Nankervis tangle. Nankervis goes to ground. And do it all again on the wing.
Some of our moments forged by First Nation stars. Paddy Ryder's ruck work, sublime. Unnamed texter.
And the ball up. Hobbs is caught. And the umpire says holding the ball. Free kick to Richmond at half-back. Great hustle from the ruckman Nankervis.
Again, Hobbs is just trying to over-invent stuff, going sideways with a handball. You're going forward, you're under the pump, you've got two guys hanging off, you just bang it forward.
And Curvis bangs it long. Rewalt in the middle of the pack. Nudged out Draper illegally. He'll take the free kick for the Bombers at left half-back.
The other one coming through, unnamed texter, Derek Kickett in his 1987 season for Claremont. Is a great memory of mine. 0437 774 774. The big Don Draper kicks down the wing, spills to Hobbs, hand pass away to Merritt, high bomb to centre half forward, just out of reach for Menzies. Bounce famous Dan Rioli, crunched by McDonald Tippenwoody, spills out to Ralph Smith, Sockers to half back. Nick Martin there for the Bombers though at half forward. Hand pass inside 50, missed Cornwell. He got there eventually. Hand pass to Stringer, wrapped up, taken to ground. Pack forms around him. Umpire says ball up, centre half forward for the Bombers. How was that hit? McDonald Tippenwoody. As the song says, he just came and got Dan Rioli in a crunching tackle. Richmond by 11 points, time on in the third.
Draper takes it out of the ruck. Hand pass couldn't find a target. Now Bolton scraps with it against Hobbs, who goes to ground, and Curvis over the top of him. We'll do it all again. Top of the 50, Bombers into attack. They trail Richmond by 11. 2-1 in this third term the way of the Tigers. From the ball up, ball spills out the back to Rioli. Is caught by Stringer. And we've got another ball up inside 50.
Good pressure here by Essendon, just locking it in.
Yeah, they need the next goal. You don't want them to be coming from 3 goals down at three-quarter time.
Draper wins the hit out, but straight to Shea Bolton, who's had a big quarter. Hand pass to Graham, kicks out of the defensive 50. Rewalt dribbles it to himself like a basketball. Sends a spiral to centre half forward for Richmond. Heppel drops a chest buck. Now he's under the pump. Taken in a 2-man tackle. Centre half forward for Richmond. Umpire lurking around the stoppage. Dusty extracts the footy. Hand pass away to Prestia. Just knocks it on. Ross is bowled over. Cochin wins it. Still centre half forward. Hand pass to Dusty. Shoots goal when it's touched on the goal line. Right on the bell. Just didn't have enough elevation on the kick. And in the end, Nick Hind with the goal saver to knock it through for a rush behind, and that'll do us through 3 quarters. Richmond by a game high 12 points. 8-10-58. Essendon 6-10-46. 3-quarter time at the MCG. Essendon have not won a Dreamtime game since 2014. It was actually the last time they beat Richmond in any game of footy. So they have a 13-game losing streak against the Tigers. Of course, the two teams have been spending their Septembers a little differently over the last 8 years or so. The Bombers within 2 goals here as we turn for home. 8-10 to 6-10. The goal kickers so far tonight, Shea Bolton with 2. They both came in that third quarter. 2 for Ryan Mansell, and then singles for Dusty, Taranto, Samson Ryan and Jack Graham. Meanwhile for Essendon, 2 for Wiedemann, and then singles for Langford, Snelling, Davey Jr. and Menzies. From our broadcast colleague off the SMS, 0437 774 774. This is from Rod Jamieson. Berkey, who's on a plane. Evening, Corby and the team. Great to call with Clinchy, Ben, Berkey, Ian and everybody else involved in the broadcast at Ballarat earlier today. If you're Adelaide, tough day and crappy result. If you're the Bulldogs, good win, 5 in a row. I just made it for my flight, and an injury report, a right calf strain. Running to the airport after dropping my car off. Such a great round to focus on educating and to celebrate our Indigenous talent, past and present. Good calling. So a calf strain for Rod Jamieson.
Yeah, look, he wasn't doing a lot of warming up, sitting in the freezing cold box in down there in Ballarat. Probably didn't have the heater on in the car.
I heard you say earlier today when Jason Johannesson went down that if you're ever going to do one, Ballarat's the place to probably do it. And
yeah.
Jamo's the latest victim. The thoughts of Berkey and Brad Sewell on the footy in just a moment on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and through the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
This winter, get ready for 8 weeks of cricket like you have never heard before.
One of the most dramatic mornings Test cricket you'll ever see.
The World Test Championship final.
Cummins on his way. Coley is forward. Driving, caught by Green. Coley out for 4.
The Women's Ashes.
Though Monty struck on the pad and Perry's appealing and she's got another one. High fives for the Australian.
And a rivalry bigger than the game itself. The Ashes.
Goes and evolves to Smith, who works it away. There it is. 200, and he'll take another for luck as well.
Grandstand cricket. The Ashes.
Every ball, live and commercial free this winter with ABC Sport.
Mr. Dulac, how long have you been dead?
2 immortal classics from Anne Rice.
I offer my life story.
The newsreaders Sam Reed and Jacob Anderson from Game of Thrones in The Interview with the Vampire.
I can swap this life of shame
Swap it out for a dog gift.
And Alexandra Daddario from White Lotus in Mayfair Witches.
You don't know what I'm capable of.
Both premiere Friday, May 5, streaming all episodes on ABC iView.
This is Dreamtime at the G.
On your radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Redmond inside the centre squares. Hand pass releases Merritt from centre half forward. Kicks in the Langford direction. He's got separation out the back and takes the mark at the top of the square. 16 goals this season for Kyle Langford, playing up forward for the Bombers, and he adds another to Baker from half forward. Pumps it long to full forward. Rewald is there. Zerk Thatcher with the fist. Ridley brought to ground by Rewald at the top of the square. McGrath's turned it over to Pickett. Hand passes to Bolton in the square. He bangs it through.
Bolter, his fourth Dreamtime fixture, looks for Rewald. Up on the shoulders of Zerk Thatcher and rips it down. The superb one-on-one mark.
From the stoppage, Martin gets boot to ball. It ricochets to Bolton, who dribbles it along the ground for an incredible goal.
The 2023 Sir Doug Nicholls Round.
On ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
He danced his magic in that quarter, Shea Bolton. A couple of goals, the last two of the game, and as a result, it's Richmond by 12 at three-quarter time. Brad Saul and Nathan Burke.
Surely, I think you hit the nail on the head in that third quarter when you said who's going to take their chances. And both teams are creating chances, but whoever takes them the most, and it might just be that little bit of touch of class up forward that actually makes all the difference. And if I'm looking at the two teams, you've got Dusty Martin and Bolton sitting up one end. Who's a class up the other end that is going to do that for the Bombers? And no one sort of readily jumps out at me. So it's been tight. You guys in the front row have earned your money tonight. The ball's been zinging up and down, and it's been all over the place. And there's been a lot happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's been a lot happening. And, it's... We needed that three-quarter siren to really take a breath and see what's going to happen next. But to be totally honest, my expert comment is I don't know.
No, it certainly felt like the class rose to the top there. Shea Bolton was the difference in that quarter. He had 12 possessions and 2 goals for Richmond. And just, you sort of touched on that, Berkey. You wonder where that class is going to come from for Essendon in the forward half. You'd like to think Jake Stringer, but he's been unsighted, and when he has been in the contest, they've been feeble attempts. So he hasn't offered much for Essendon. When he is a potential match winner, when he decides to be, but it doesn't appear that way tonight. But you cannot knock either side's pressure, intensity, their intent. They're certainly out there having a crack, and that might go some way to explaining the fumbling, the two touches from both sides, because the pressure is at such a high level.
Well, Richmond's kicking efficiency for that quarter was 51%. So 1 out of every 2 kicks is a clanger. They need to tidy that one up. Marks 43-14 in favour of the Bombers.
Charlie King on the boundary.
Yes, Massimo D'Ambrosio subbed on for Essendon, coming off Andrew Phillips.
Thanks, Charlie.
Lucky he took that mark.
It's clear for the time being. He's got his stat and he's kicked, but he's out of the game and a bit of run.
Job done.
For Massimo D'Ambrosio. Final term underway. A crooked bounce from umpire Stevic. He recalls it. 12-point lead for Richmond here at the G. And the Q Clash, it's close there as well. 2 minutes into the last quarter. Brisbane by 5 over the Suns. It's all ahead of us. The final term is loaded Saturday of the first week of Sir Doug Nicholls around 10 of the season. Back in the middle, Draper wins the hit out. Jaden Short extracts it. Hand pass to Taranto. Pops it inside 50 for Richmond. Into the forward pocket. Dusty, a little deft touch, but straight to Zerk Thatcher. Got it away to Ridley. Hand pass for Essendon to half-back for Caldwell. Kicks the ball down the wing for the Bombers. Arriving Bolter in front of Wiedemann. Takes the intercept mark. Defensive side of the wing for the Tigers. They lead it by 12. Just underway in the final term.
Bolter shoots it short to Ross. Kicks to Taranto. Marks in amongst a couple of Bombers. 2 kicks from goal. Ross kept running, receives the hands. And then bullets a pass in the Martin direction, who juggles the mark right on the paint of 50.
It's one thing Dusty does really well. He leads really hard straight at the kicker. Now, McGrath is right standing on the 50-metre line. I'm tipping Dusty will do something tricky here.
4 goals last week for Dustin Martin. Rioli offered support. He ignores it. What will Dusty do here? Gets around on the arc and then decides to bomb it home. Brilliant from Dusty. He's got 2. And Richmond have skipped out to an 18-point lead to start the last term. 9-10-64 to Essendon, 6-10-46. 2 minutes played last term, Grandstand AFL.
Great punch from outside 50 from Martin. It's been a great match-up all night. Andy McGrath and Dustin Martin. McGrath has rebounded well besides his errant handball, which was a direct turnover and goal square for goal. But for the most part, offensively, he's been quite good for Essendon. But Dustin Martin's just sheer size in that marking contest isn't going to allow McGrath to get around him. And Martin, with the 21 disposals, 2 goals, 1, would suggest that he's certainly had the better of that duel today.
8 score involvements to go along with it.
I was just going to say there's that bit of class.
Yeah.
Back in the middle of the ground, Draper leaps high, wins it on the way down and tackles a play without the footy. The ump says advantage applied. Nankervis hands it to Jaden Short. Kicks for Rewald. He's forced to knock it away for the Tigers. Ridley's onto it for the Bombers. At fullback, hand pass to Baldwin. Kicks to halfback and Redmond takes the mark. So Richmond by 18 points, a new game high, 3 minutes into the final term. Redmond's got to go short. The captain, Zach Merritt, takes the mark. Of 23 last week, he's up to 31 disposals here as he kicks wide for Langford. Just marks. Ends up in the Richmond bench. Still on the defensive side of the wing. Spins the yellow Sharon in his fingers and then kicks down to half forward. Wiedemann trying to work his way to the front of the pack. Grimes whacks it from the back. Down to Jaden Short and he's tackled, dispossessed. Slick hands, Rioli to Taranto. Taranto goes back, wins it a second time. Got a hand pass out to Stringer. He's tackled, somehow got a kick down to half forward.
But it's a turnover as Broad took the contested grab against Wiedemann and then shipped short to Vlostone. Hands it back to Broad, who hands it back to Vlostone. Has a fumble, time to regather, gives it back to Broad. Loops a hand pass over the top to Prestia, who goes backwards to Vlostone from right half back. Kicks down the line is a good one. And taking the mark on the outer side is Graham, who squares the kick to Nankervis inside the centre square. As Grimes on offer short, ignores that, decides to go to Bolter instead. And go for a run from the wing. Kicks up towards half forward to a one-on-one. The fist came from McGrath. Langford, he's brought to ground and dispossessed. Picked up by Short, who gives it to Ross from 45 out. Tries to slip a tackle, gets the hand pass away, but Ridley picks it off for the Bombers. Gets around 1 and then from the defensive 50 sprays it out of bounds on the full. Free kick to Richmond between wing and half forward Liam Baker to take the free kick.
Tigers win tonight. It'll be the longest win streak in footy that any one team owns over the other. 13 games at the moment. And they're protecting an 18-point lead here, going inside 50 again as Baker kicks for Nankervis, top of the goal square. No mark, spills down to Ridley. Hand pass straight to Dusty, shoots off the left peg, misses everything near side, out on the full.
One thing the Bombers are doing this quarter is they're stopping that chipping around short pass that was so effective for Essendon in the first 3 quarters. They've had to bomb the ball. The last 4 times they've had a free kick.
Zerk Thatcher from the pocket. Down the line and Wiedemann reels in. Good mark. He kicks down the line. Menzies has to compete against 2. Coming across the pack is Broad and he's hurt himself.
And now this brings Broad and these guys into play because they're bombing the footy. The first 3 quarters, Broad was pretty much unsighted because they were just chipping the ball around and going around him. So it was a real concerted effort from the Tigers to slow this game.
Broad's okay. He quickly bounces to his feet, kicks to Short, who kicks it laterally to Vlostone at right half back.
It's a bit early to waste time, isn't it?
He kicks it down the line in McIntosh. He's alone on the wing in front of the Shane Warne stand. Runs his full measure. It's a wobbly kick off the boots, straight down the throat of Baldwin for the Bombers.
20-year-old Kane Baldwin, short kick, finds Merritt.
And this is where they could find 3 or 4 in a row here before, and now they can't find any.
So Merritt is going to have to kick down the wing and finds Durham, who takes the mark. Defensive side of the logo. 6 lead changes in the match. The Bombers led by 10 points in the opening quarter. They got another shot in them. Short kick to Perkins, just over halfway. He rolls now. Hurried kick as he's closed down by Vlostone inside 50, and Nankervis takes the intercept mark. Touched on the way through and says play on. Now he's under pressure. Got it out to Broad. Hand pass and turnover to Snelling. Kicks goalward. Lands short. And Baker takes the intercept mark. Hand pass away to Ross. Stringer's coming to get him. Gives it back to Baker at half back for Richmond. And he puts it out on the full, Jess. The Bombers keep it in the front half. Free kick for Andy McGrath. Richmond by 18 points. 7 gone final term.
Essendon need to get a wriggle on as McGrath chips in board to Martin. They're 3 goals down. Squaring kick into the corridor finds Perkins. 2 kicks from goal at centre half forward. Plenty of numbers up ahead of him. He'll just have to bomb it long, and he does just that to a pack at the top of the square. In front, Bolter gets the hand pass out to Ross. Hand passes to Baker. Kicks it out to Ryan on the wing. Knocked away from him. Chasing after it is Pickett and McGrath in a contest. Zirk Thatcher picks it up. Hand passes backwards to Heppel, who gives it to Perkins from the wing. Broadcast side. Kicks into the centre of the ground and finds Merritt, who can run to half forward and hit a target inside the arc in Durham. 45 from home, 45-degree angle to the left.
Essendon just have to get Merritt's hands going inside 50. Finds the target almost every time.
He's had 23 kicks. It's 70%, which is sort of above league average where he is there.
Tigers have kicked the last 3 goals either side of three-quarter time. Essendon desperately needs this. Durham shoots towards goal and delivers. The Bombers are still alive. Richmond by 12. 9-10-64 to Essendon. 7-10-52. 8.5 played final term on Grandstand AFL. Nathan Burke and Brad Sewell, your experts.
The Bombers have looked most dangerous when they get that switch kick back into the middle and get somebody running past for a handball and get the ball quickly inside 50. Players dropping into a hole. Durham just ran forward, fell into a hole. It was a really good kick to his advantage. Had 2 Richmond players bearing down on him, but that's to get in front. They need to take some risks. Hit that centre kick, come flying past for the handball and see what happens from there.
No good bombing down the line for them. No kicking long inside 50. They don't have the targets, and Richmond been very good at defending those rebound 50s.
Sammy Durham, mid-season pick back in 2021. He's missed just the 3 games since making his debut. Back in the middle of the ground, Draper wins it down, then follows up. Hand pass to Merritt, short kick to Stringer. Here they go again, the Bombers. He plays on from 50, 2 out. The package bangs it through. The Dons are heating up. 2 in a minute for Essendon. And all of a sudden we got a game again. Back to 1 straight kick. Richmond 9-10-64. Essendon 8-10-58. And Stringer has had a quiet night with a long-range blow for Essendon. Brings it back to a 6-point deficit. Nathan Burke and Brad Sewell.
He would be a frustrating teammate. He'd be a frustrating man to coach, I'd imagine, because he's got so much talent and he's got the nickname the package for a reason. But it just doesn't happen consistently. Doesn't have to be your game, but it can be your moment. And for that, Jakey Stringer, well done tonight.
The fans are finding their voice in the stands. A packed house here. Dreamtime at the G. And we've got a game in the final quarter. Richmond by 6. Back in the middle. Draper takes it out of the ruck. Just got the hand pass out. Martin can hand pass to D'Ambrosio. The sub kicks into the pocket. Langford on the lead. Couldn't complete the mark. Snelling hooks it around the corner. Vlostone at the top of the defensive goal square takes the mark.
Richmond had it out to 18 points earlier in the term. All of a sudden, it's back to a 6-point game. A couple of quick goals for the Dons. Richmond by 6. Ross off the back flank. Kicks down the wing here. Shea Bolton got a hand to it. Spills down to Marlon Pickett. His hand pass broken up. Nick Martin wins it. High half forward. Puts it over the head of Wiedemann. He was all alone. Grimes there for Richmond at fullback. Hand pass away to Vlostone. Gives it to Bolter. Short kick finds McIntosh, who marks. Half back for Richmond. Tigers by 6, 11 gone, final term.
Oh, Wiedemann all by himself inside 50. Just missed him with a kick.
The handball should have gone to Merritt before that, who then would have been able to hit Wiedemann.
McIntosh long down the line of contest. Redmond flies high and reels in the mark. Just forward of halfway on the outer side. Richmond by 6. The Bombers with the last 2 goals of the game. As Redmond can wind up and bomb it long to a crowded forward 50. Draper from the side, off hands. Hobbs, tackled by Baker. Gets the hand pass away to Durham, who couldn't get boot to ball. Umpire says play on. Broad picks it up for the Tigers. Hand passes to Cochin, close up against the boundary line. Dribbles the kick down the line. Pickett got a hand to it, couldn't reel it in. Has to turn tackler on Heppel. Ball spills out. Baker dribbles it along the ground into the path of Graham in front of the interchange gates. He has a fumble, has another go at it. Picks it up, hand passes to Taranto, who goes backwards to Ross from the wing, slips the Redmond tackle, sweeps the hand pass to Rioli from the centre of the MCG, takes on Langford with a bounce, has 2 bounces but loses the footy. Langford from half-back just jams it on the boot and gets it out of there.
Just kicks to space out on that southern wing. A race is on. First one there in a yellow jumper is Judson Clark, the lefty. Pokes it down to half-forward, miskicks it. The sub turns it over straight on the ground and Hine takes the intercept mark. Essendon with the footy at half-back. Tigers by 6. We've only had one Dreamtime game decided by under a goal back in 2006. There's Essendon with the short kicking game. McGrath to Snelling, short kick to Perkins. He's clobbered after taking the mark. Umpire says it's all fair in the marking contest. Perkins laterally to McGrath. 13 gone, final term. Tigers by a goal. Essendon have kicked the last 2. Goes back to Ridley. Ridley wide to Baldwin, who marks in front of the interchange.
Kicks on the 45 to Snelling. He's marked it on the wing. Broadcast side. Kicks it down the line to a 2-on-1 favouring the Tigers. They kill the contest. It goes out of play for a throw-in.
Snelling had, was it, in the middle, his teammate in the middle, and he looked at him, but he just wasn't brave enough to hit the kick. You've got to be brave. You're going to win this game. You're still a goal down. It was Hine in the middle, but he just didn't want to go there.
Richmond by 6, ball back into play. Hobbs to Caldwell, left foot snap around the corner to half forward over the head of Stringer. Out the back is Durham. Waller almost, he pounces, taps it into the path of Stringer. He gets on the right boot, pressured with the kick. It's out of bounds on the full free kick to the Tigers in the left back pocket.
Very good pressure by the Tigers. I think it was Grimes in the end.
You can sniff a moment. Jake Stringer has been quiet all night. He's ready to try and decide the game as Bolter goes along to half-back and Samson Ryan uses his height advantage, takes the mark over Heppel. Tigers by 6, 14 gone, final term. Essendon with the last 2 goals. Ryan kicks to a contest on the wing. Rewald involved, 2 Bombers fly. Spoil at the ground level. McGrath, hand pass to Caldwell, runs straight into traffic. Got it out to Hobbs. Hand pass to Nick Martin. Kicks Essendon down to half forward. Kick favours Grimes. Takes the intercept mark for Richmond. Brisbane lead by 30 points over the Suns. 17 gone, final term at the Gabba. As we love to say, Jess, we got the close one. It's Richmond by 6 points, 15 gone, final term here at the G.
Grimes sends it down the line. Ridley in position A, knocked away from him. He gets it back, Ridley. Jams it on the boot towards half forward. Tigers have the numbers through the hands of Bolter. Langford at the drop of the ball. Sends it up and down the mine shaft. It'll land into the lap of Lostone at the top of the defensive goal square.
I feel like you've broken your theory too, Berkey, about all the lopsided games you've had. I figure if you go to just about every game, you're going to get a good one.
Are you enjoying this, Berkey?
Oh, I am on the edge of my seat here.
Lostone goes short. And footy at half-back with Dan Rioli. Goes long down that southern wing, close to the boundary line. It's punched out of bounds by Hind, and we'll have a boundary throw-in on the wing. 6-point lead for Richmond.
You get the sense Bombers might need to even up the numbers inside their forward line. Richmond have got that extra number floating around down there, and every time it goes in, it's making it really difficult for the Bomber forwards.
16 gone, final term. Tigers by 6. Boundary throw in. Taranto paddles it away, but straight to Snelling. Hurried kick. Turnover.
Essendon have got the spare around the contest. They need to chain handballs, find that spare, and then take it forward instead of bombing it from the congestion.
Dan Rioli with the intercept mark, short to Taranto. He's going to flare it out to the boundary line, and McIntosh marks defensive side of the wing.
He'll kick it in the Bolton direction. Half forward. It's out of bounds on the full. Free kick to the Bombers. Merritt chips it short to Caldwell. He'll kick it laterally back inside defensive goal square to Ridley, who got there just in the nick of time and takes off. Kicks it to Martin, who has got it at right half back. Hand passes it back to Ridley, who shoots the kick out wide to Heppel, who's marked in front of the interchange gates. He kicks inboard to McGrath, who's got it defensive side of the wing. Richmond by 6.
The only number 1 pick in club history, with the number 1 on his back. Dangerous kick to Rewalt, and Zerk Thatcher. Rewalt spoils, breaks it up for Richmond. Dusty's onto it, unguarded goal square, bouncing footy, unkind for Dusty. Redmond getting back, couldn't rush it through. Live ball, Johnson Clark sockers it through. Oh, Redmond just couldn't usher it through for a rush behind. It stayed alive on the goal line, and Johnson Clark threw his left foot at it and hammers it in the back of the net for Richmond.
It's a goal.
That is another goal line error for the Bombers.
Looking at this angle, we can see the ball makes contact with the Richmond defender's foot last before crossing the back of the goal line. Decision on scoreboard.
Did you say Richmond defender's foot?
That's definitely the forward. He's going to pay full toll for that. Wait for the roar. You mess around, you find out. And the Bombers leave another one out there with an easy Richmond conversion. Tigers by 12 points, 18 gone. Final term, 10-10 to 8-10. Judson Clark with his toe poke on the goal line.
Well, Andy McGrath just didn't quite hit the kick into the middle. It was the wrong option. He should have gone to one closer to the middle of the ground. But what I hope is that they don't become gun-shy now and start taking the easy one, because they won't win this game if they take the easy one. They've got to risk to get the reward.
Oh, that was Andy McGrath going back to centre half back with a one-on-one. And then Mason Redmond just couldn't keep the footy in front of him. And a gift for Judson Clark right on the goal line.
So Richmond have some breathing space as the bounce in the middle is offline. Do it again. Draper taking on Nankervis. Draper wins the tap and goes after it again. Spills out the back to Prestia, who gives it to Bolton. Has some room in the centre square. Kicks up towards half forward. Bounces past Mansell. Heppel is there for the Bombers and kicks it to D'Ambrosio, who's marked at left half back. His hand pass releases Hind. Has a bounce, loops the hand pass over the top to Merritt on the wing. Hand passes back to Hind. They're past halfway as Hind kicks to half forward. Bounces in front of Durham. Martin overran it. Pickett's there for the Tigers. Broad has a go. Durham has a go. Wins the footy. Kicks it straight into Pickett. They scrap for it at half forward. It spills out to Broad, who hand passes it to Bolter. He's run down by Davey. Just got the kick away to Cochin in a one-on-one. Ball spills to ground. Cochin wins it at ground level and kicks short to the safety of Jack Graham, wing position broadcast side.
Bombers with all the momentum before that last error on the last line of defence, and a goal to Richmond gives them a 12-point cushion and possession here with 6 minutes left. A kick for Graham, from Graham, finds Cochin. He rolls and puts it inside 50. Jumping in front of Rewald is Heppel. Takes the intercept mark for the Bombers. They try and switch immediately. Back to Hyde. Hand pass to Ridley. Ridley to centre half back, finds Perkins. Essendon with it all to do. Kicks out to half back for D'Ambrosio to sub. Short to Ridley. Got out to 18 points earlier in the quarter. The Bombers pegged it back to 6. Back to a 12-point game. Still 2 scores. Long kick from Ridley's a turnover, and Broad takes the intercept mark on the wing, southern side. Meanwhile, up at the gather, time on final turn. Brisbane lead the Suns by 43.
That's blown out.
Yeah.
Broad chips it short to Prestia.
6 goals to 1 in the final turn.
Durham got pretty close to Prestia. No 50-metre penalty, so Prestia winds up and sends a long ball in the re-walk direction. Thatcher with the fist. It spills to Bolton, who's run down immediately. Brought to ground. We've got a ball up inside forward 50. Richmond in attack. They lead by 12 points. 21 played final term on Grandson AFL.
Judson Clark with the last goal. The sub hitting his foot to it right on the goal line. Richmond by 12. Merritt rather at the coalface. Got a hand pass out to Hind. He's tackled straight away.
Watch out for Shea Bolton here. No one's picking him up.
40 metres out from the Richmond goal, half forward. Draper wins it down. Caldwell hand pass to Merritt. Hurried kick out of the defensive arc. There's Nankervis. Got hands to it. Spills to McDonald. Tipping Woody for the Bombers. Hand pass to Caldwell. Just hurried kick inside the forward arc. No one's there. Race on for the footy. Uncon bounce for Grimes. Durham hits it hard. Hand pass to Langford. Feeds it to Menzie. Game on again. Menzie from the top of the goal square. We're not done yet. 22 gone final term, and John Menzie brings it back to a one-score game. 10-10 to 9-10. 22 travelled final term. Nathan Burke, Brad Saul on grandstand AFL.
Unlucky for Richmond. They've got the three defenders leading the charge back to their defensive 50 to pick up a loose bouncing ball. The ball bounces in all directions, Berkey, and to their credit, Essendon pushing back hard into their 50. Great pressure. Well done out of their back half, Essendon, just to get a couple of handballs to a few running players. Davey, Tip and Woody all involved. We've got a game, Berkey.
Absolutely. The crowd are into it too. Hear that roar?
We're back in the middle. The margin is 6 points. Draper down in Merritt. Whacks it on the boot, inside forward 50 Essendon go. Durham from the front, can't complete the mark. Menzie at the fall of the ball. Hand pass looking for Langford. Has a couple of goes at it. Bonk delays the tackle and spills to Waller. Left foot snap from the pocket. Waller. Donald Tipperwoody misses. Margin is 5 points. Handy point, as they say. Richmond 10-10, 70. Essendon 9-11, 65. 23 played final term.
Zach Merritt again involved for Essendon. He's the key in this last quarter. He's been fantastic.
5 point game. Richmond lead it. 23.5 travelled final term. A run and carry from the kick out for the Tigers as Dan Rioli whacks it up to the wing. Mansell competes along with Heppel. They slide out of bounds and a throw in just forward of the wing for the Bombers. Second time they've been within a kick in this final term. After Richmond had it out to an 18-point advantage earlier in the final term. Now 24 gone final term. Tigers by 5. Momentum with the Bombers. Nick Martin took on one too many. Huge tackle from Shea Bolton. Ball comes out to Graham. Heads down to half forward for Richmond. Rioli, Rewald had a hand on it. Spills through to Cochin. Cochin inside 50 to Mansell. Ryan Mansell marks 35 out. Right half forward for the Tigs.
Well, he started it for the Tigers, kicking the first goal of the game. Could this end it for the Tigers? Great play by Cochin there as well. He started off well. He'd gone a little bit quiet in the second half, but just didn't blaze away. He kept his cool, waited until Mansell found some space and hit him on the chest with his left foot.
3 minutes left on the game clock to make it tough for the Bombers. Ryan Mansell, the man who got us going. Misses the whole set. Out of bounds on the full.
It was a shocking run up. He was hopping and flopping and just...
Richmond by 5. 25 gone. Final term. Still a 5 point game Richmond's way.
Hines short to Ridley. Kicks to a one-on-one on the wing. Goes past both of them. D'Ambrosio against Taranto. D'Ambrosio hand passes to Durham, who collects on the half volleys. Hand pass straight to Rioli. Gives it to Ralph Smith. His hand pass misses Prestia. Perkins will get there for the Bombers. At half back, hand passes to Durham under pressure. Hand passes to Hobbs. Now to D'Ambrosio. They're under pressure, the Bombers. Intelligent tap on from Merritt. Bounce evaded Hine and he's wrapped up. And we've locked it up on the wing. Richmond by 5. 25 played final term.
That bounce right in front of Hine for bounces into his hands. The Bombers are away.
Tigers by 5. Up it goes. Draper wins it down and grabs the footy. Then Taranto's got him.
I don't want to be a Grinch, but I hope that Samson Ryan mark isn't the difference in the end.
Don't bring that up now. 26 gone, final term. Draper knocks it out towards Caldwell. Prescott picks his pocket, tackled front on by Hobbs. Says play on, ball comes out. Judson Clark sends a spiral down the wing. Up to meet it is Baldwin there with Bolton. Bolton, big time tackle. What a night he's had, Shea Bolton. Locks it in and we'll have a ball up in front of the Richmond interchange. Tigers by 5 points. 26 gone, final term.
Tigers have got one player spare behind the ball. It's Nick Gloston.
And Curvis in ruck. Down to D'Ambrosio. Martin locks him up. And we'll do it all again. A ball up. Half forward for Richmond. And Curvis again wins the tap to Taranto. He gives it to Martin. Has a fumble but gives the big fend off to Hind. Merritt chased him down. It's a wobbly kick inside 50. Rewalt tries to soccer it off the deck straight to Ridley, who kicks it into the path of Redmond, who can take off from half-back. Runs his full measure. Kicks it up towards Stringer at half-forward. He collects in front of Broad. Gets a hand pass out to Martin from left half-back. Can he hit a target? McDonald, Tipperwoody. Can't collect. Follows up with a tackle is short. Exits the danger zone with a long kick to the outer side, but it's marked by Heppel. It's got to come back.
They'll get another chance to win at Essendon. Tigers by 5 points. 27 gone, final term. Heppel short to Redmond. Crowded forward 50. They need a good look inside. There's Draper. The kick heads in his direction. Spills through to Stringer. Forward pocket. Kicks to the goal square. Durham. Sam Durham marks. 10 metres out straight in front. The lad from Seymour, who wasn't on a list midway through 2021, playing Richmond VFL.
Take a full 30. Still another 10 to go.
Against some familiar faces in a different colour sash. Durham to win it. Goal! Sam Durham snatches the lead for Essendon at the death.
Oh, we've got someone on the ground.
What kind of sorcery is this? Essendon by a point. 29 gone, final term. The Bombers by 1. There's a pitch invader out there who's getting hauled in by security. And we got our 7th lead change with 7 seconds left on the game clock.
If anyone can, Richmond can from here.
Unbelievable scenes. Dreamtime at the G has lived up to its expectations. Richmond need a fast break out of the centre if they're going to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat.
Essendon wingers are well set up to push back as soon as the ball hits the deck.
We're still trying to get the spectator off the ground at the moment.
I'm not sure we can start until he's no longer on this side of the playing arena on the fence. So he's at the moment, he's in the gutter in the hands of the police. And they're trying to hurl him over the other side of the fence. And umpire Matt Stevic says, hold the phone. Bombers by a bloomin' point. They've trailed all this second half. And somehow they lead it by 1 with just a few ticks left on the clock. Thanks to Sam Durham.
Back in the middle. Seconds left. The big fist from Draper. Down to Durham. The match winner. He's caught. The Bombers have done it. They've won their first Dreamtime game in 10 years. By a point.
Our boys who play this kind of game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams they don't fear. They'll try their best, but they can't end it as the Bombers fly up.
The equal longest losing streak by any team in the AFL against any opponent is over. Essendon haven't beaten Richmond in 13 contests. They led by 2 points at quarter time. We had 6 lead changes in the first half before Richmond took control. They led by 12 points at the last change. A game-high 18-point lead came at the 2-minute mark of the final term when Dustin Martin kicked his second goal. But from there, the Bombers came home strong. The match winner, Sam Durham, in the final minute as the Bombers get home by points.
Boys who play this scramble game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up, up. The other teams they don't fear. They'll try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly on.
We've had 19 Dreamtime games. I don't think we've had one better than that. 7 lead changes. The Bombers by a point. We've never had a closer finish. And they did not put their nose in front at all in the second half until 7 seconds to go, thanks to Sam Durham's mark and goal from the top of the goal square. If you're wondering who Sam Durham is and you're not a hardcore footy fan, he's playing his 36th game. In 2021, he was a chippy in Seymour, 100 kilometres north of Melbourne in the Goulburn Valley. He was driving down and playing for Richmond in the VFL, hoping to get picked up somewhere at some stage and get a crack at the big time. And Essendon in the mid-season draft thought, you know what, we'll take him. He can come and wear a red sash and play for Essendon. He has missed 3 games since making his debut, and against so many familiar faces tonight, playing in the opposition for Richmond, some of his old VFL teammates, he bangs through the winning snag with 7 seconds left to put Essendon in front and snap a 4-game losing skid. The Bombers by 1. Essendon 71, Richmond 70. Brad Saul and Nathan Burke make sense of some of that for us.
What an extraordinary game. It felt like Richmond were going to just kick away with it, didn't it? They were 3 goals up with 5-10 minutes to go, and out of nowhere, Zach Merritt was just huge for Essendon, just dragged them over the line. He was involved in, early in that last quarter, 2 direct score involvements. A number of others. Jakey Stringer, who had been completely unsighted, had a couple of really important touches, one of which a goal from a centre bounce, the other a kick to the top of the square in which found Durham. Berkey, what a corker.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole way through we were thinking, which side is just really going to grasp this? And in the last quarter, it might have been just because they were behind on the scoreboard, but Essendon really wanted to win, and they played risky football like they really wanted to win.
We'll come back to you, Berkey. Here's Megan Waters.
Yayukin is a word from the Wirrurung language of the Wurundjeri people, which means dreaming. To announce the winner of this year's award, please welcome Auntie Pam Pedersen and Uncle Michael Long.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to congratulate Essendon on winning this evening's game. And now it gives me great pleasure to announce Best on Ground to Zach Merritt.
I don't think anyone's going to argue with you on that. Zach Merritt, 39 disposals, 12 contested, 9 ground ball gets, 7 tackles, 5 clearances, 6 inside 50s and 9 score involvements.
Thanks to Richmond, amazing team, have been for a decade. Your record speaks for itself. We love playing this game with you guys. Dylan, Nank, Dimmer and the whole club, we love and respect you guys so much, so thank you for the game. To the fans for coming out, thank you so much. It's such a special occasion for everyone. Such an amazing event. Also thanks to the dancers pre-game. Such an inclusive ceremony, which I'm sure everyone here and at home enjoyed. So thank you so much. Go Bombers.
Snaps a 13-game losing sequence against Richmond. They've lost the last 8 Dreamtime games until tonight. A 1-point victory for the Bombers, having trailed by as many as 18 points in the final quarter. Sam Durham kicks the winner with 7 seconds left on the game clock. Well, when you did a game earlier today, you've been talking about how you got all these lopsided games. I said, Berkey, if you can help us out and come tonight, I promise I will put on a really good game. And look what I've been able to deliver.
This was worth the 2.5 hour drive back from Ballarat to come and see this one. So thank you, Corby. I owe you one. I think if you're Brad Scott with a guy like Jake Stringer, maybe this is just what you expect. You don't expect him to be 20-25 consistent every week. You just go, mate, I know you're going to overstick it up for a half. You're not really going to touch it very much. But when we need you in that last quarter, he ended up with 11 possessions. He kicks a goal from 55 out. And even that last one there that Durham actually marked and kicked, it was Stringer who won the footy in the pocket, snaps the ball to the top of the goal square and keeps the ball alive and allows them to take the mark and win the goal. So you've got to give him credit for that as well. But Ridley, I thought, was outstanding down back. Caldwell was really good. McGrath was great down there. Redmond, 27 possessions. He just comes forward and creates so much havoc off that half back line with his run and carry as well. So the Bombers, outstanding game. But I did get the sense that even though Richmond, they got 3 goals up, there was a sense of saving that rather than go 4 or 5 goals up. Was the Bombers have gone, hang on, we're not turning our toes up here. We'll take a few risks. McGrath took a risk and it didn't come off, but that still didn't deter them, which is great. They could have gone into their shell then, but they still kept bringing the ball through the guts, running past for getting the ball inside 50 quickly. And the Bombers were desperate to win this. You could just tell they were desperate to win, and they did what was required to win in the end.
It felt like there were 3 cheap goals they gave up. One, the ball didn't bounce their way for Redmond, and Judson Clark socketed it through. I don't know if you remember in the third quarter there was a goal that was basically handballed straight to Pickett, who set up Shea Bolton, who banged it through from the goal line, and then the Samson Ryan sort of mark that wasn't. So they really had sort of 3 goals there that were almost given to them on a platter. 2 through Essendon's mistakes, and then the other one through a sort of a miscall, really, you could call it, from the umpires. And that they sort of protected an 18-point lead for large periods of that final term, and yet the Bombers not only able to come back to make it a game, but they finish over the top. They kicked 4 of the last 5 goals from being 18 points down to win it by a point.
Probably young Mansell might have felt guilty about some of those, and unfortunately could have iced the game, but put it out in the full from 30 metres.
That missing point would have been handy. Jeez, they get out with nothing. It's Essendon by 1, full-time. Dreamtime at the G. What an event it's been. 78,300 the final attendance, so 78,300 for the centrepiece of Sir Doug Nicholls' round, and the Bombers doing just thanking the fans that have stuck around. There was a great spread of red, yellow and black throughout the stadium tonight. Obviously the colour pattern, how the brainchild of Kevin Sheedy, how this event first came about. Obviously the 2 teams playing strips all come together to form the Aboriginal flag, and it's just the red and black that's left in the stadium now, with a lot of those in yellow and black have already filtered out. Brad Scott, did he get his team together, Sully, and sort of have a long chat with them after the presentation of the Yayukin Trophy to Zach Merritt as the player of Judge Besterfield? What would be the theme, do you think, of what Brad Scott would be wanting to tell his team so soon after the final siren?
I think initially just to say congratulations, well done. As sort of Berkey said, their want and their desire, their willingness to not give up, their willingness to continue to take the game on, the courage that they showed in that, late in that final quarter was fantastic. A young side, a huge win for them, and to have broken the back of such a winning streak, not only against the Richmond Football Club, but this game, the Dreamtime and the Gene, how important it is to Essendon, to Michael Long, to the football family. It just breathes so much life into the club. Fantastic.
They've just come out of a really tough stretch. So obviously led Collingwood by 28 at 3/4 time on Anzac Day. Then against Geelong, got rolled over in the first quarter, but actually won the game from quarter time onwards when Tom Hawkins got hold of them. 5-point loss to Port Adelaide. Andrew Phillips' set shot landed short. They led Brisbane at halftime last week. The Lions steamrolled them in the second half. So you're playing sort of good teams, 2 of those on the road. Then they get a run now where it's Richmond tonight. They fall over the line by a point. West Coast, North, Carlton before the bye. So that we're already looking ahead. I know it's 3 weeks' time, but that Carlton game feels massive for 2 teams that are probably fighting with each other for one of the spots towards the lower end of the 8.
Yeah, and as I said at the start of the game, I reckon they would have taken a bit of a sigh of relief from that last run of 5 games, which was a horror stretch. And they're probably thinking, if we get one tonight, we'll look ahead, we'll chalk those 2 up. Boy, there's 3 in a row going into that Carlton game. And but it needed to be tonight. To just keep that sniff of finals hopes alive. So, they did extremely well. The Tigers left too much to too few a little bit tonight. There were some of their players who have been outstanding. Like Baker's fantastic, but only had the 16 possessions. Wasn't really effectual tonight. Broad only the 13. Prestia only had the 11. So just really didn't have his normal impact. So Tigers just too much to too few.
The guys they had out to Essendon tonight, no Laverty, no Parrish, no Wright, their best and fairest winners, Setterfield and Kelly all missing from their best team, and they get home by a point thanks to Sam Durham and his winning goal with 7 seconds left on the game clock. Let's celebrate with the winners. Charlie King is in the victorious Essendon rooms. Charlie, paint the picture for us. What's it like down there?
Oh, it's mayhem down here. The teams just turn up. Big crowd on hand. They can't fit any more in, Corby, but what a game. What a win. Unbelievable.
That's probably
stacked. Lots and lots of people here. Lots of backslapping going on.
It's worth a 5-hour flight, Charlie, I imagine, to come down and see that.
I don't want to go home. I want to stay. I want more of this. Let's get the song. We'll get going on, Corby, but what a wonderful performance from Essendon to come back from where they were to just sneak in the last couple of minutes of the game. Fantastic game of footy. We're waiting on our person for the interview.
Yep, easy. We'll come back to you, Charlie, a little closer to the time. So the Bombers in the winners' rooms, just a lot of high fives, as you can imagine. If you heard the clapping midway through the song, that is Sam Draper, who decides that he doesn't actually want to stand arm in arm, and he just claps along to his own beat with the theme song. Sort of takes it upon himself to almost be the self-appointed conductor of the team song. I think it's fair to say.
There's always one.
Yeah.
It's a percussionist.
Yeah. Yep. Who was that in your team, Sawley? Who would lead the song?
Brent Guerra did it for a while, I'd say. But it was almost in the showers afterwards. Clinton Young started playing horses, Daryl Braithwaite.
Right.
So that became a bit of an anthem for a while.
I like it. And the Berkey, the Saints song always had the when the Saints bit. Surely that would have been a bit of an honour, whoever led that at different times.
Yeah, the last one I can remember was Milne.
Yep.
Milne that was his thing. I don't think anyone appointed him that. It was self-appointed.
Yeah, it's one of the best things about Aussie rules footy. There's no doubt about that, singing the song post-game. We got another half an hour to pull it all apart. We'll get some reaction from the Essendon rooms. The Bombers are home by a single point. If you've just turned the radio back on and maybe you ducked out to go and grab something from the servo and you heard Richmond were up by 18 points and thought the whole thing was a wrap, well, Essendon kicked 4 of the last 5 goals of the game. And Sam Durham, in just his, 36th game of footy, the 21-year-old, took the mark, top of the goal square, went back, banged it through, and the Bombers hit the front with 7 seconds left. It was the first time they led in the second half, remarkably. 6th game all-time between Richmond and Essendon decided by a single point. The Tigers won the first in 1910, and the Bombers have won the next 5, for whatever that's worth. So a 1-point victory for the Dons. The rest of Saturday footy, it was Brisbane by 43 points in the end over the Suns. Gold Coast were within 5 points at the start of the final term. Brisbane kicked the last 6 of the match. So a big victory in the end. Joe Danaher backing up his 6 from last week with 4 earlier in the day. Walyalup, which is the Fremantle team, of course, in Sir Doug Nicholls' round, a 29-point win over the Cats. And much earlier, the Bulldogs over the Crows by 45 and Sydney by just 3 over North. Let's get back into the victorious Essendon rooms with Charlie King. Charlie.
Good on you. Thanks for that. Jordan Ridley joins us. Jordan, you wouldn't want to do that too often. What was it like out there?
Yeah, it almost gave me a heart attack at the end, but the crowd, especially towards the end, was electric, and it's a really good way to finish the game.
What's this win mean for the club tonight?
I think it's just great reward for effort. I think even though we've had a few losses in the last 4 or so weeks, we've been playing some great patches of footy, and it was good to put it together a bit more tonight. And
it's a terrific finish to it. You saved the best for last.
Yeah, it was pretty unbelievable. I couldn't quite believe what I was watching, but luckily Sammy's got some good hands on him, and kicked the goal, which got us there.
Big game from you too. Terrific game. One of your better games.
Yeah, just starting to try and build nicely into the year. I think it was good to go into a game fresh this week, and really just enjoying playing with the back six out there at the moment. I think we're building some great chemistry.
What did the coach say to you at three-quarter time?
Yeah, I just said that this is our chance. We're right in the game. We're doing a lot right, and just to keep trusting the way we want to play and move forward with that.
Well done. I'll send you upstairs to Brad Sewell and Nathan Burke.
Hey Jordan, Brad Sewell here. Well done tonight, mate. What did Scotty say to you at the very end there after Zach received the award?
He just said to get right around the fans. I think obviously they've had some hard times over the last few years, and so just to really, it was a great win and great for the club. So just to really give back to them for the little bit at the end.
How's the build-up for the players prior to this game? It's such a huge game for the footballing community.